My Asexual Life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality. So subscribe and hit the bell icon right now. So it's been a while since I've done a live stream, and today I've got a very special episode for you because we're discussing why is dating relationships hard in 2026, especially if you're asexual. But there is some good news. So let's crack on with the show. First of all, if you don't know who I am, I'm Sandra Bellamy, author of this awesome Asexual Perspectives book on Amazon, and Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual, also on Amazon. So grab copies of those. Let's crack on with the show. So yes, dating and relationships is hard for anyone in 2026. And if you're asexual, it adds another layer of complexity because many asexuals have lots of different needs. So the huge problems with asexual dating is, well, at least from what I've researched, discovered, found, uncovered, if you like, in different asexual groups on asexual dating sites, is there aren't a lot of people that are proactive in dating. So more and more asexuals seem to be giving up on dating, which I do understand why. They seem to feel that everyone wants sex and it's just not worth the hassle. Now, unfortunately, it seems a lot of asexuals are looking outside the asexual spectrum for relationships, and that's the particular thing that is causing the disconcertion. Is that even a word? That is causing people to feel disconcerted and concerned and, you know, more stress, because a lot of asexuals, the problem is we live around the globe and we're all spread out. This is a major factor in how hard it is to date and have a relationship with another asexual. And as such, many asexuals, they want someone specifically in their city or their town or where they live. And if they can't get another asexual person in that vicinity, they tend to, you know, be more driven towards sexuals. And therefore, if they're more driven towards sexuals, then it can be harder because sexuals usually want sex. And then what happens is the asexual person or people, we end up getting very despondent, disappointed that there's no one out there that wants us without sex. But we have to remember that the area we live in life is a very, very small area compared to the global world. And so when we're having our experiences where we are, it can kind of make us feel very jaded about the world because we can think there's no one else out there for us. When you're asexual, because you are more limited if you're sex repulsed asexual in terms of dating relationships, you have to be prepared to either move for a relationship or have someone who is willing to move to you. So you have to be a mover or find someone who will move. And it's nice to see you. Nice wig. This is all my own hair. I don't wear wigs. Sorry, I had to laugh at that. I'm all natural. I've never even dyed my hair in my life. Sorry, some people are so funny in chat. Anyway, let's keep on with the conversation. Make sure that comments in chat are respectful and make sure questions are relevant to this chat. Anyone that's being mean, horrible, or saying disgusting stuff will be booted out of the chat, all right? Because I like to keep this respectful and safe for people. So, asexuality, because someone asked what is asexual. Asexuality is a sexual orientation that's based on the lack of sexual attraction. And there are different types of asexuals. Some have no sexual attraction whatsoever if you're pure asexual. And other people are in the grey asexual part of the asexual spectrum. And for those asexuals, the grey asexuals, they can experience sexual attraction, but only under limited, rare, or specific circumstances usually, or they experience it, but not enough to want to act on it. So they don't have the usual amount of sexual attraction. I discovered I'm asexual in 2014. And the reason it's hard for asexuals to date, as I will continue talking about and have a relationship, is because we're all spread out. Like a recorded 1% of the population is asexual. That means 1 in every 100 people you meet is likely to be asexual. But we're all spread around across the globe. And many people are not out about being asexual, like I am, for example, to the world. So that makes it even more tricky. And what I was saying is a lot of asexuals, they want to date in their vicinity or have a relationship with someone in their area of where they live, right? But that may mean they're going towards sexuals and talking to sexual people. That could be heterosexuals, bisexuals, homosexuals, pansexuals. And so if that's the only experience they're having and people are being rejected, asexuals being rejected, the ones that don't want, like, or need sex or have sex ever, then it can get very disconcerting and it can be very, very disappointing. And so therefore, more and more asexuals are giving up. They're like thinking, why do I even bother? It's too stressful, hate the rejection, fed up of people just wanting sex. I see time and time again a lot of asexuals in asexual groups and asexual dating groups, but many times they're looking outside the asexual community for dating relationships rather than looking for other asexuals. But there is a reason, like I said, for this, is because a lot of asexuals are not necessarily in the same vicinity as where they live. And a lot of asexuals don't want to move. But if you're flexible, you're open to moving, you don't care where you live, you've got basically a flexibility in where you work, this can really open up opportunities for you. You might find that the love of your life simply isn't in your vicinity. They're in another city, another country even. So it's better if you can be open to being open. But if you know that you're not a mover, you can't move for whatever reason, then it's important that you know that and hold your ground as well. So, like, I'm just gonna, like I said, if I'm gonna, if anyone's being rude in chat, they'll just get deleted. But I'm not gonna keep looking at chat 24/7. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. So asexuals are very, very spread out, and like I said, a lot of the asexuals aren't even out to the world as being asexual, and this can make finding other asexuals very difficult. There could be asexuals in your area, just you don't know about them. Maybe you haven't bumped into them yet, or you just haven't come across any settings where an asexual person might feel free to talk about their asexuality, for example. Like, I was holding an asexual confidence and self-love workshop at Exeter Pride this year, and there was asexuals that I'd never seen or met in my life before, a lot of them. And it's like, where did they all come from, And I wouldn't have met them had I not done that workshop, right? But that wasn't there to do a dating or relationship thing. That was there to help people who are asexual focus on creating more confidence in their life and increasing their self-esteem and self-love. So that wasn't for dating relationships, Once the workshop is over, that was it. I did offer to socialize afterwards with people, but everyone went their own separate ways, which is fine. But it just proves that are asexuals out there that we don't often know about, that can be actually living near us or potentially coming to travel to us. So we need to bear that in mind. And I think it's really good because the more asexuals you meet at Pride events, the more there's other asexuals out there. There are asexual meetups, obviously, that you can go to. But again, you have to be willing to travel. If you're not willing to travel, then you are limiting your options. Sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zones and travel and do different things in order to find people like ourselves. Do you know what I mean? So also with asexuals, it can be very difficult to have shared interests because we all have really vast different interests, and because asexuals are not focused on genitalia and sex in general, we tend to focus on interests and hobbies. And for us, we tend to want someone for a life partner, for example, or a queer platonic relationship, for example, who has some of the same interests as us, because we want to be able to talk to them about those interests. We want to be able to share our interests with someone. For us, shared interests and hobbies is one of the things that creates intimacy for asexuals, because it's like we're sharing a part of ourselves and a part of our hearts when we're sharing our favorite hobbies, our favorite interests, and when we're really kind of so excited about something. Do you know what I mean? And if you have people around you that are also excited, it's kind of like experiencing a heartwarming intimacy with that person or people. And so intimacy can take loads of different forms, but when you're asexual, particularly if you're not interested in sex, because a lack of sexual attraction doesn't necessarily equal a lack of sexual action. There are some asexuals that do have sex, for example, but for sex repulsed asexuals or asexuals that really aren't bothered about having sex and rather do loads of other things, then it's really like either non-existent, they never ever want it in their life, or they're not interested in it, they don't want to have it, or they're really fed up with it and they're like, it's meh to me, or whatever, right? For those asexuals who don't want sex, it is a lot harder to have dating and relationships, you know, but there are lots of other forms of intimacy, and wherever you fall in the asexual spectrum, but particularly if you're sex repulsed, you tend to want someone who has a lot of the same interests or hobbies as you. I realised I was asexual in 2014, Daisy. I've already answered that earlier in the stream, but I know you weren't here then. So yeah. So 2014 is when I realised I'm asexual. I started this channel in 2015. So I've been here helping asexuals for over 10 years now. It's just I haven't done many live streams lately because I've been really busy with personal and the stuff and the asexual workshop. I've got disabilities as well, so they're kind of really hard to manage sometimes. So yeah, so I hope this is making sense anyway as to why it's particularly difficult if you're asexual having a dating or relationship scenario with someone, because asexuals all have different hobbies, different interests, and for us, one of the deal breakers a lot of the time is actually having shared interests and shared hobbies with a person, because that's kind of like our intimacy. It's okay, Daisy, I'm really happy to answer the question. I appreciate your question. Asexual questions are welcome. And so yeah, it's just really difficult for sex repulsed asexuals particularly to find a relationship, because obviously the majority of people want sex, but even within the asexual community, even some grey asexuals, they still want to participate in sexual activities because they're not pure asexual. For example, some of them they still like experience sexual attraction in some ways, just not the usual amount of it, if you know what I mean. Good on you for supporting others also while suffering disabilities. Thank you. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard with disabilities. Thank you. That's why I do a lot of vlogs lately as well, because I tend to they're a lot quicker. So, but I'm glad that I'm here for the time here with you. It's really nice. So with asexuals, like I've been in like one of the I run asexual dating groups myself, and I've been watching another group this week, and someone again was struggling with their asexuality in dating, because they said they get a lot of sexuals interested in them. I get a lot of sexual guys because I'm interested in guys interested in me, and it's really tough because it's like, well, if I was highly sexual, because I attract the highly sexual guys, I could easily find a guy for a relationship, right? But I'm not. I'm not interested in sex whatsoever. And so when you attract someone who's like the opposite of who you are, because opposites attract, it can make life very frustrating and difficult, because you're like, if only, like, that person's thinking if only she wasn't asexual. I'm thinking if only he didn't need sex. Do you know what I mean? And so it's really, really difficult for kind of both sexualities sometimes to like, if you're asexual and you're a sexual person, you're both attracted to each other in some ways. I'm not attracted to guys sexually, but they get attracted to me sexually, and I get attracted to them romantically and aesthetically, if you know what I mean. They get attracted to me sexually usually. Did I say easily or usually? Both apply. Anyway, sometimes because of my disabilities as well, and because of just my way my brain thinks very quickly, I amalgamate two words into one. I should make my own dictionary up one day, because in the fast world we move in, having two words stuck together is just kind of like easy lingo these days. Why is things falling off my table? So yeah, or desk I should say. So if I do mix words up, you'll have to excuse me. So sometimes I do that. So anyway, so basically, like with asexuals, like I was saying, our intimacy a lot of the time is shared interests, shared hobbies. We want to do that together, because when we share something, sharing is a form of intimacy. And if you have two people, even if it's not an asexual with an asexual, if it's an asexual person, a sexual person, for example, two different sexual orientations, right? But if you have shared hobbies and interests, and it's something you're really, really passionate about, and you kind of explore those passions together, that's a form of very close intimacy, because it's like you've got a shared lived experience together with high emotional octane vibration that really resonates with each other. So you kind of feel like you're vibing with each other, you're understanding each other, and you're resonating with each other. And this forms a deep emotional like connection and bond, or intellectual bond and connection. Do you know what I mean? So this is like a form of intimacy that's actually quite overlooked, but it's very important usually to asexuals. And I think probably many sexuals don't hold it as in high regard, but there is something called sapio-asexual. Well, it's not, it's called sapiosexual, usually the sexual version, or sapio-asexual. You could say I'm sapio-asexual because I have intelligence attraction, which is what I usually call it, but I'm attracted to guys in an intelligence sense, but the more common word known is sapiosexual, which is someone who's sexually attracted to someone based on their intelligence. I don't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever, so I'm count myself as a sapio asexual. It's just one of the kind of subcategories that I am. But for someone who's sapiosexual, it's usually their main form of attraction, is they cannot be sexually attracted to anyone unless they've got an intelligence attraction present, whereas I just have intelligence attraction as one thing that I might be able to experience with someone. It's not the whole of my attractions, if you know what I mean. I usually call it intelligence attraction, but you could say sapio asexual if you wanted to. So let's have a look at what Daisy say. I really worry about young people, as it's such a confusing it's such a confusing, I can't see that word on the small screen, with all sorts of sexualities. They need support. I'm thus from others in the same situation. Right, yeah. So yeah, there is so many different sexualities these days, but really it's more like subcategories of sexuality. So there's 5 main sexualities, as homosexuality, heterosexuality, bisexuality, pansexuality, and asexuality. They're the 5 sexualities. But then you have subcategories of those, and you have mixtures of subcategories. So with asexuality, it's a spectrum of identities, but also it's a sexual orientation in and of itself. So the people that belong to asexuality are called asexuals, but there's pure asexuals and grey asexuals. Pure asexuals being the ones that don't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever. Grey asexuals are the ones that experience sexual attraction, but only in limited, infrequent, very specific circumstances. Otherwise, they just don't do that, or they experience sexual attraction, but not enough to want to act on it. There's 2 different types of grey asexuals, but it can be confusing. I try to keep it in very simplistic terms here on this channel. There's other channels that will talk more in the LGBT terminology, if you like, LGBT plus terminology. But I tend to try to stick to words that any sexual orientation can kind of understand, because otherwise it goes over people's heads. So yeah, yeah, what's it? Yeah, I mean, if you are just like, you know what I mean, you know, like I said, you need to keep chat here relevant and respectful. So anyone that's not, you know what I mean. Yeah, I've stopped that person spamming now, because it's just, I have no problem with any religion or Islam or anything, right? But when they're just coming on a channel purposely just to promote their own agenda, it's just not, and it's got nothing to do with asexuality. It's like, or dating relationships. Like, why are you even here? Like, I respect all, you know, religions and that different to mine or whatever. I'm more spiritual than religious, and I've dated people who are Islamic as well. Had relationships with people like that, you know what I mean? But it's not appropriate for this chat. So I wish you well. But I've had to, you know, keep the chat respectful. So going back, and obviously this is a very good point though, is because for dating relationships to be successful for any sexual orientation, you have to know your deal breakers. So for some people, it is a deal breaker to for example, people that support Allah and that are Islamic, they may only be able to be with another person who supports Allah and Islam, do you know what I mean, and is Islamic, or they might go with someone who isn't Islamic or isn't, you know, from one of the ethnic countries in general that belongs to, but a lot of the time they need that person to convert to Islam. Not all of them do. Some people are open-minded and can be different religions or different beliefs, but some people can't. So whenever you are dating or having a relationship with someone, you need to think about your deal breakers. Like, what are the things that you just cannot live without or cannot be with? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you support Allah and you're Islamic and you're like, you know, like, I cannot be with a Christian, I cannot be with a Jew, I cannot be with a Buddhist person, you know, then that's your deal breaker, isn't it? Right? And that's okay if that's what you want, but you've got to find someone else that also wants that, because you can't obviously you know, just put your stipulation onto someone else, because that's not fair. So someone says, I did more research on asexual, I think I understand it now. Okay. So long as you're getting your research from good, verified, actual asexual people who know what they're talking about, then that's good. There's a few AI things that aren't actually correct. It's very interesting because I obviously am a specialist in asexuality for over 10 years now. If you need more information, by the way, if you missed this at the beginning, this is my Asexual Perspectives book. There's 47 asexuals in this book, including me. And this is our perspective on love, life and sex from an asexual point of view. It's very eye-opening and very relatable. Like, if you're an asexual person, there's usually at least one story in here that you can relate to. And if you're new to asexuality and the asexual spectrum, this tells it in like real life stories rather than just gives textbook definitions of it, which is so much better. Like, there's so many textbook definitions on the internet, but it's like some are contradictory as well, because, you know, they're not actually correct. And some of them are developed over time and slightly people have changed the meaning of things. But if you like go to a creator, like, obviously there's other asexual creators, but someone who knows what they're talking about, particularly if they've been a creator about asexual content for a long time, then that's normally a much better bet than just like Googling it, for example. But it's still, you know, it can still help, but not everything's correct. Google AI has told me about 2 books I've never written, for example, when I Googled myself. So, but this is one of my books. And this Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual, this is another one of my asexual books. So someone said, basically, you're all asexual, want to have a relationship with someone, but not have sex. Is that right? No, that's not right for every asexual person. So to answer your question, I did answer this earlier on in the live stream, so I feel I'm repeating myself a lot on this live stream, but that's obviously because people are coming in the live stream at very different times. So asexuality is a sexual orientation based on a lack of sexual attraction. Now, lack can have 2 meanings. It can mean you haven't got anything of the thing, or it can mean you don't have enough of it, right? So grey asexuals they don't have enough of it, and pure asexuals, they don't have any of it. So I am a pure asexual. I don't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever. Nothing. No sexual attraction. So I don't look at a guy and ever... I'm only attracted to guys romantically and aesthetically in lots of other ways. But I don't ever look at a guy and think, oh, I want sex with you. I've never done that even with the guys I've loved in the past. I am an asexual that's actually had sex in the past. Dispelling your myth straight away, right? Because I thought I had to as part of a normal relationship before I discovered I'm asexual. So in 2011 was the last time I had sex. So we're in 2026 now. That was like 15 years ago nearly. Well, it was sometime in October 2011, you know? And I'm really happy about that. For me, I'm absolutely stoked that I haven't had sex for all those many years. So whereas a heterosexual person that hasn't had sex even for a few months, if they really like sex, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to die if I don't have sex or something. I am actually really happy and like throwing a party that I haven't had to have sex for years. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't know there was other people like me. I honestly thought I was the only one in the world, planet and universe that wanted a relationship without sex, just like kissing and cuddling and stuff like that. Right. But I discovered in 2014 that I'm asexual. I found asexuality.org, and which is the biggest online forum for asexuals, although not everyone on there is asexual, because they have people who are relatives of asexuals and things like that, and partners on there as well. But it was just so eye-opening. I was so ecstatically happy. So yeah, so some asexuals don't have sex at all. They're sex repulsed. I'm a personally sex repulsed asexual for me these days. So even though I've had sex in the past a long time ago, in 2013, I just couldn't bring myself to do it again. I'm just like, oh my God, I just can't do this. And then, do you know what I mean? In 2014, I found out I'm asexual. So, but looking back, even in all my heterosexual relationships, because I've been with heterosexuals predominantly most of my life, I didn't value sex like they did. Like, I didn't really want sex. I would rather have the kissing and the cuddling and the holding hands and other forms of intimacy at that point as well. When they want to have sex, I was like, I just wanted to carry on kissing. Do you know what I mean? So, but a lack of sexual attraction is not necessarily a lack of sexual action. So some asexuals, they do have sex. Some asexuals are sex positive, some are sex neutral, some are like, okay, whatever. Some are repulsed, like me. So some asexuals do have sex. Some asexuals just have sex to have physical babies that are naturally born in the womb or whatever. I say or whatever. I'm not really into pregnancy and birth, but they have kids by natural means, and then they don't have sex ever again. So they just do it as a performative thing to get pregnant, basically. So yeah. Why is someone being rude on the chat saying no, they just seem interesting but never developed any hobby? Well, if you listen to this live stream so far, you know that I was just talking about hobbies and interests. That asexuals have to try and find someone who's got hobbies and interests very similar to them, because that's their form of intimacy. So the fact that they putting develop any hobby is absolutely ridiculous, because asexuals have a lot of hobbies, but with all the sex they're not actually having. Do you know what I mean? So do you consider kissing and cuddling as sex or not? No, kissing and cuddling is not sex. It's not sexual intercourse. It's not sex. No, I don't consider kissing and cuddling as sex. Definitely not. That sounds depressing as hell. I'd be so sad if I couldn't have sex. Yeah, but I'm really, really, really happy I don't have sex, because I'm not interested in it. I don't want it. I have no interest in genitalia. Do you know what I mean? Which doesn't look particularly attractive anyway. And it's like, I like a person's character and personality is so much better. And I live a very interesting, exciting life, even though I'm disabled. I have disabilities. So ma'am, you're a sex introvert. Don't you think that personality trait rather than a gender? So this person has no interest in asexuality whatsoever. Asexuality has nothing to do with gender whatsoever. You can be any gender and be asexual. Asexuality is a sexual orientation. And I'm not a sex introvert. It's like, I'm actually an extrovert. If I wanted to have sex, I'd have it. I'm not interested. Like I said, I have had sex in the past. So do you know what I mean? So yeah, right. So yeah, no, I don't go on dates with strangers. Can I take you on a date? No, I don't go on dates with strangers. Anyway, we need to get back. So, you know what I mean? I said to keep chat respectful. So if it doesn't continue to be respectful, I would just be deleting comments, because it's not fair, right? Asexuals are beautiful people. Obviously, every sexual orientation has people that are good and bad in it. Anyway, but asexuals tend to lead a very interesting life because of all the sex we're not having usually, and the lack of interest in sexual activity and the lack of interest in sex itself. So a lot of us have a lot of hobbies. You know, there's people, I run quite a number of asexual groups, and some people, I like do book clubs, some people do role play clubs, like superhero stuff, anime stuff. There's loads of people that do loads of different things, like needlework. Some people do have gardening hobbies. It depends what age they are and what they're into. There's a lot of people in that asexual community that do gaming. I'm not a gamer. So asexual is a and sexual together. Asexual means absence of sexual attraction, but as I've explained, absence can mean totally not got any, or it can mean you don't have. So basically, asexuality is a sexual orientation based on the lack of sexual attraction. I like to think of the A as absence of sexual attraction, but you know what I mean, just to make it easy to remember, but it's a lack of sexual attraction. Pure asexuals don't have any sexual attraction. Grey asexuals lack the usual amount of sexual attraction. So, right, thank you. Apologise, wish you well. You're very beautiful. Have a lovely day. Thank you. So why is there so many comments in the chat about different types of sex? I'm not interested in any type of sex. Anal, oral sex, they're all different types of sex. Anal sex, oral sex, vaginal sex, penile sex, up the bum sex, whichever one you want to call it. This is going to really gross people out who are asexual and sex rebels. I'm not interested in any of that. That's all sex. I'm not interested in any sex whatsoever. It's like when I'm on dating sites, one of the worst things I get, I make it clear in dating sites in my profile now. Right, I've always made it clear that I'm asexual, but I have to keep writing more and more stuff to prove that I'm not interested in it, right? So I used to get guys on dating sites when I said I'm not interested in sex. They're like, oh, if you're not having sex, what will you do for me then? A BJ, like a blowjob. It's like, no, what part of I'm not interested in sex do you not understand, right? So I have to like spell it out. I'm not interested in any sex, right? I only like kissing. I want a partner that can live happily sex-free forever. This type of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not interested in any of that. So kissing is not sex, right? Kissing is not sex. I kiss the guy's upper body. I'm not kissing his private parts. I'm kissing his mouth and face. You know, he could be from the waist down. He could have no like thing going on there, and I'm fine with that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not interested in that. I hope that makes it clear. Your username's going to raise a few eyebrows. Well, people who know what asexual is, then they know that means a lack of sexual attraction. But some people think asexual means I'm a highly sexual person, where actually, in fact, it's the opposite. So it's an absence. But if you look at a lot of words, the A directly in front of the word often means you're absent of it. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of other traditional words. So yeah. So what was I going to say? So anyway, going back to this topic of dating relationships. So this is why it's so hard, right? Because when a sexual person and an asexual person is talking, when a sexual person hasn't come across the word asexual, they ask you all really personal, intrusive questions. And it's like, if you were talking to someone else on a live stream, would you really be asking these intimate questions about what they like in terms of sex or not? I don't think you would be. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of the time, asexuals get asked really intimate questions. And it's like, we're not actually in a relationship together. So it's like, you know, it's quite irrelevant anyway. And, you know, if any guy wants to date or have a relationship with me, I'm very upfront. I'm like, I'm not interested in sex. I only like kissing. And I have to be very careful of that, because at some points on the dating websites that I've been on, like, because I'm on asexual and, you know, more traditional dating sites as well. And over 10 years, I've been online dating. And it's like, you know what I mean? I was getting guys who were just like meeting up for kissing hookups with me. They knew they wouldn't get sex, but they would come and travel miles just to kiss me. And I'm like, oh my God. You know, some of these guys said they want a relationship, but they didn't actually want it. They just came and lied. And I'm like, when I found out they lie, obviously I can't see them again. But I had one guy, he was from Bangladesh, I think he was. Bangladesh or Pakistan. And anyway, he said he could be without sex, and he'd be fine with an asexual girl. And this was a few years ago now. And then 2 or 3 years ago, I met up with him, and you know what I mean? And he said he never felt more loved in his life than the time he spent with me. But he lied. He said, I can't actually be with an asexual girl because it goes against what my family wants and my community and all that lot. I'm like, so, you know, but he lied, because he told me very well before we went on a date that he could live without sex and be fine with an asexual girl. So it was a lie, and I didn't appreciate that. So some asexuals can get lied to, you know, which is really bad. It's no point in being dishonest, because, you know what I mean? It just wrecks both people's lives and wastes your time. So every asexual is different. So obviously, if you are dating or interested in a relationship with an asexual person, you'd have to ask them how does your sexual orientation of asexuality affect your relationships? Like what do you like and what do you not like to do in the relationship? like physical wise and stuff. And that's why it's even hard in the asexual community, because we all like different things in terms of physicality. Some asexuals don't like to be touched at all. They're touch averse. Some asexuals don't mind a little pat on the back or pat on the shoulder. Other asexuals, they want like hugging but no kissing. Some asexuals want kissing and cuddling. Some asexuals like nude kissing and cuddling. Other asexuals don't. So every asexual person is different, but we share the commonality of our sexual orientation being based on a lack of sexual attraction. And with pure asexuals, they don't experience any sexual attraction. Grey asexuals, like I said, they can experience sexual attraction, but only under limited, rare, or specific circumstances. Otherwise, they don't. Or the other type of grey asexual is when they experience sexual attraction, but not enough to want to act on it. But, you know, it's very difficult for some sexuals who are very interested in sex and can't imagine a life without sex to even understand how asexuality can even be possible. But it is possible, and it's really real. And there, you know, there's books on asexuality, there's channels, different channels to mine on asexuality, clothing for asexuals, events for asexuals. You know, it's a real sexual orientation. So I've never heard of this and can't imagine many people are like it. Like I said, a recorded 1% of the population is asexual. I would think an impotent man would be a possible good candidate for an asexual woman. Yeah, impotency is not the same as asexuality. So asexuality is a sexual orientation, not a medical condition. So I just have to be very, very strong in when I say that, because there's a lot of confusion. Like, asexuality is not abstinence, it's not celibacy, it's not impotency, it's not a physical or medical condition. It's not an illness or anything like that. It's a genuine sexual orientation, just like heterosexuality is a sexual orientation, just like pansexuality and homosexuality. Do you know what I mean? Bisexuality, we are all sexual orientations, right? The 5 sexual orientations of the world, and then there's subcategories within those. So when you say you think an impotent man would be a good possible candidate, possible is the word, because it depends on the impotent person. I have brought this up before. The reason I say this is because, yeah, so impotent people often believe they can't get anyone because everyone wants sex, and obviously from that point of view, an asexual might be a good candidate for them. However, asexuality and impotency are fundamentally very different. Asexuals are not holding themselves back. They don't get sexual urges in the main if they're a pure asexual. They don't have any, like, urges for sex with a specific person. Some asexuals have a sex drive, but it's usually not aimed at anyone. If they're a pure asexual, it's not aimed at anyone. Or some asexuals can have arousal, but it's not like a drive for sex there. As arousal is just a feeling in your genitalia. It can be linked to someone or no one, right? So, but impotent people, some impotent people particularly, they get frustrated that they can't have sex. And they still get the urge and want for it. In their head, they're like really wanting it, but they can't physically get the part to work like that, right? Everything's usually capable of working with most asexuals, right? But there are obviously some asexuals that happen to be impotent as well, but it's not the same thing. But most people have working tackle down there, right? They could have sex if they ever, you know, if they weren't asexual and didn't want sex. Do you know what I mean? You know, because some asexuals are okay with having sex, right? But usually their genitalia is in full working order. It's because they don't get the need, urge, or want for sex, partnered sexual intercourse we're talking about. But an impotent man, for example, he could still get the real urge, and he could get very frustrated, and even have a kind of aggressive kind of like feeling in his body, like he really wants sex. And that can cause a lot of problems because the asexuals don't even think like that. Do you know what I mean? It's a different mentality. There's very different, like, oh, God, I wish I could have sex now, but I can't get it up. Like, I'm so frustrated and angry and I was just pissed off. You know what I mean? It's very different energy to, like, I'm not interested. I'm just really not interested. I'm not bothered. I don't care. I'm just not feeling that way. I don't get the urge for it. I don't get the need for it. I don't get the want for it. Just not interested. Do you know what I mean? It does nothing for me. Don't even need it in my life. Got loads of other interesting things going on, and it doesn't excite me. It just doesn't do anything for me. Or if they're a sex repulsed, it might be like, ugh, just get away from me. Do you know what I mean? So they're very different mentalities. And so only if the impotent person is actually comfortable with having no sex in their mind, and they're like really happy for that, and they feel great that they got someone to love them without sex, and they're really kind of in that mindset of love without sex, that's great. But if they're in a frustrated, angry, aggressive state of mind because they're like, it just can't get that to work, that's a very different mindset. It's a very different life. It's a very different way of being. And it's a medical condition, which asexuality isn't. So I hope that's explained it to you. Surely the asexual people are all single. No, all asexual people are not single. I know asexuals that are married to other asexuals. I know 2 younger couples in the UK. They're both married to asexual partners. They're both asexual themselves, and they're both married to asexuals. So it's absolutely not true. And some asexuals are with sexuals. There's a person or people even in this book, my Asexual Perspectives book, of asexuals that are in relationships. One person's even married to an who's asexual, is married to a sexual person. There's a woman who's married to a sexual person in here. She does have sex because she's been married for years. And she does have sex. She negotiates it with him. There's one person who is asexual with a bisexual person. They don't have sex, and their partner isn't bothered about having the sex. It doesn't bother them, so they don't have sex. There's someone else in this book who's asexual who does have sex to please their partner. I'm not necessarily an advocate of asexuals having sex to please their partner. I think if they're really okay, they're not bothered one way or the other. If they have sex, that's fine. But if having sex is to their own detriment and they're going to resent the sexual person later on for kind of pushing them to have something they really don't want and feels like more self-abuse, and that's not a good thing. Don't ever do that. So, you know what I mean? I only think that someone who's like neutral about having sex positive, doesn't mind doing it, would be the type of person that was okay to do that. If you're just having sex to please your partner, that's not a reason to have sex. Do you know what I mean? So that can lead to resentment and stuff. And it can lead to feeling like you're abusing yourself. But don't forget, get a copy of this Asexual Perspectives book, because if you are looking to see like how asexual and sexual relationships work, there are people in this book that talk about that. This is on Amazon, by the way, in case I hadn't mentioned that already. So please tell me how to get attracted to someone then, because it's normally sexual attraction. Well, if you're sexually attracted to people, you can't help that because you're heterosexual or whatever sexuality you are. I mean, heterosexual, pansexual, bisexual, or homosexual. I don't know, because I can't actually say which sexual orientation you are. But if you experience sexual attraction, obviously you're one of those sexual orientations. Do you know what I mean? So it's pointless me telling you how to get attracted to someone. You know what I mean? I can tell you different types of attractions, but what happens with heterosexuals is they tend to clump all attractions together as one thing. But they're not. So, for example, I can experience romantic attraction with a guy. I can experience aesthetic attraction with a guy, but I don't experience sexual attraction. I can experience close attraction with a guy. I can experience creative attraction with a guy. I can experience intelligence attraction with a guy. I experience spiritual attraction with a guy. Emotional attraction. I experience sensual attraction with a guy's upper body, for example. These are all different types of attractions I can have for different guys, not all at the same time usually, and for different guys, because they're all separate. But what heterosexuals do, and what the history of sexuality does in general, is they just clump everything together. Heterosexuals just think sexual attraction is all this bunched together and that's it. But no, all the sexual attractions are actually the sexual attraction and all the other attractions are different. But obviously with sexual attraction, you can have different gradients of sexual attraction. Some people could be very sexually attracted, whereas other people might be less sexually attracted. Do you know what I mean? So I told someone I think I'm asexual. They said I need to get checked out. I'm laughing because it's like, why do you need to get checked out to know you're asexual? It's just stupid. It's like, well, I hope I would turn around and say to them, well, what sexual orientation are you? You need to get checked out. Do you know what I mean? If something is relevant to asexuals, it's relevant to any sexual orientation. At the end of the day, you don't need to get checked out to know who you are and know your own mind. And no one, I repeat, no one has the right to tell you what sexual orientation you are or are not. You're asexuality is not up for debate. You are what sexual orientation you are. It's not up for debate. So asexual means like you don't have a tendency or want to have sexual relationship, right? Some asexuals are more interested in emotional connection rather than physical. Some asexuals are more interested in emotional connection rather than physical. The majority of asexuals actually love for a deep emotional connection. So that's how we usually love, because there's not focus on genitalia and sex like there is with other sexual orientations. But some asexuals will have relationships that do have, you know, sex involved in them. Some asexuals do, because they're not sex repulsed asexuals. Because a lack of sexual attraction doesn't necessarily mean a lack of sexual action. So someone could like not experience sexual attraction towards a person but still have sex with that person, depending on if they're sex repulsed asexual or not. If they're a sex repulsed asexual, then usually they wouldn't be having sex. And more people on the pure asexual side of the asexual spectrum would be the ones that don't usually have the sex. Only grey asexuals tend to be ones that are more likely to have sex out of the asexuals. But, you know, I'm a pure asexual and I had sex in the past because I thought I had to as part of a normal relationship, but I probably had it a lot less than other people would. I know in some of my relationships I barely had that, and I actually split up with one guy because I just couldn't hack the sex. I was just like, it's so boring and I'm just not interested. I liked his cooking. Aesthetically, he was so hot looking. I was romantically attracted to him as well. But when it came to sex, I was just like, is this all you can do? I'm just like, I'm really not interested. And he really wanted a sexual relationship. I just couldn't do it. After 3 weeks, that was it. I just couldn't do it. I'm like, I just can't be doing this. I'm just so bored. I'm just like, you know what I mean? But my last heterosexual ex, he was actually good at sex. But I just can't do it anymore because I'm asexual. I didn't realize at the time. I was only doing that with him because I was in a long-term relationship with him. And the 2011, like I said, is the last time I had actual sex. And I'd rather have the kissing and cuddling. And now I know that I don't have to have sex because there are other people like me in the world. Then it opens up a whole array of humans to me. Do you know what I mean? That I could potentially have relationships with. Well, I'm only interested in guys, and there tends to be more women asexuals in the community than guys. So that is something that's difficult. But, you know, it still opens up more options than feeling like I was on my own and being the only asexual person in the world before I found out there was other asexuals. I hope that makes sense. So, yeah, there tends to be more women asexuals, and I'm attracted to guys, and there tends to be more aromantic or aromantic, as most people pronounce it, asexuals, ones who lack romantic attraction as well as sexual attraction. Well, I am a romantic asexual. In fact, I'm a hyper romantic asexual, so I'm excessively romantic. So I wouldn't be suited to someone who was not experiencing any romantic attraction whatsoever and didn't want a romantic relationship. It just wouldn't work out. We'd be the opposite and it wouldn't be good for us. Do you know what I mean? So that lowers the chances of finding someone for a relationship if you're a female, for example, asexual, looking for a male asexual, and you're wanting one that's romantic as well. And then obviously if you've got to think of where you live and it's hard to find someone you like near where you live, because we're all spread out around the world, asexuals, it can just be so hard to find someone for a suitable relationship. And then, like I was saying earlier, with hobbies and interests, a lot of asexuals have hobbies and interests that we want to share with someone else because that's one of our forms of intimacy. Because when you talk about something you're passionate about and share those hobbies and interests, it like brings you closer and does more emotionally bond you. And it can intellectually bond you as well. So because we're not focused on the genitalia and the sex, we're focused on much other things, like, you know, like hobbies, interests, things we like to do in our everyday life, because then we can bond through conversations and actually participating in things together. And that brings us closer together as a team and in a relationship sense. And so with asexuals, you can still experience types of physical attraction like aesthetic attraction without the sexual attraction. And also with asexuals, it can be really hard if you want someone in a particular age group as well, for example, because there tends to be, I think, a lot more women in their like 20s, for example, overall, or they used to be. I've been in the asexual community for so long now, it might have changed a bit. There tends to be quite a few trans and non-binary. I think at least 10% of asexuals tend to be trans or non-binary. So yeah, you know what I mean? And it depends if you want someone who's born a specific gender in terms of like cis, like cis male, cis female, if you want a specific assigned at birth gender, rather than, the having a trans person. Some people don't mind trans people, like for a relationship. Other people just want cis people, which means, they're assigned that gender at birth. I hope that makes sense. I try to use different language depending, so we're meant to say a lot of the time for respecting trans people and non-binary people, particularly trans people, we're supposed to use the words assigned at birth, but obviously I like to respect every sexual orientation. So I'm trying to like speak to different sexual orientations. So cis usually means the gender they were assigned at birth, CIS, that's what it usually means. But some people obviously are born in terms of a label of a gender that they don't feel is the right one for them. They're assigned a certain gender which they don't relate to. So they may transition into a different gender, if you get my meaning. But some people are happy to date and be in a relationship with a trans person or non-binary person. Other people aren't. So again, this adds a little different layer of complexity, and so does it if you're looking for a specific age group, like in a certain age bracket or over a certain age, for example. And if you like different ethnicities or a specific ethnicity, right? So you've got like things that affect relationships and dating because of your asexuality, but you've also got different lifestyle preferences, different hobbies and interest preferences, different physical preferences. Some asexuals like more touching than others. And then you've got the differences in ethnicity, religious backgrounds, different age groups and all this type of thing. So obviously, like, some of these things can affect whatever sexual orientation you are. It doesn't have to be asexuals or asexuality exclusive, but when you're asexual and you're not focused on genitalia and sex, you're focused on a lot more of these other things being very different. Whereas heterosexuals, in my experience, for example, they can tend to focus so much on the sexual attraction, they may overlook some of the other things that are actually incompatible. Different lifestyles, for example, might get in the way further down the road. Different interests, different values, beliefs. All these things impact anyone in dating relationships, but sexual attraction can actually obscure these things. But so can being a hyper-romantic asexual like I am. I can get so hyper-romantic over someone that I'm overlooking the things that are incompatible. So I try more nowadays to keep my head from going off in the clouds and being more kind of like strict with my mind as to like, is this person good in terms of character traits, in terms of the lifestyle that you like to lead, Sandra? Would they work with that in terms of, do they like traveling or do they like staying in one place? Because I don't like traveling outside the UK unless it's Disneyland Paris by Eurostar. I don't even fly on a plane. I'm not interested in that. And I'm not a nature person, which the majority of the world are. If I go on dating sites, the majority of guys say, I like traveling, or I like to go out in the countryside or beach and stuff. It's like, I'm not that type of person, which is very rare, I know. So if you've got rarities as well, plus sexual orientation that is like rarer of asexuality, this makes it really even harder to find someone suitable for dating and relationships, because it's like you're getting even rarer with your sexual orientation plus with all the other things you like and your deal breakers and stuff like that. So it complicates things a lot in that way. It doesn't mean to say you're doomed. I mean, sometimes people's different values, can be worked out if they're not deal breakers. Sometimes like things that are different about each other can actually complement each other. They can actually like soothe the other person. So, for example, if you've got someone who's really like highly strung, really hyperactive, really like jumping around, but then you've got someone who's calmer, organized, and kind of less chaotic, maybe they might complement each other, but they could also rub each other up the wrong way depending on how their personalities are. If someone who's calmer likes someone who's like chaotic and more like energized because they find it exciting to be with that person, but they still want to keep their calm demeanor, and the person who's like excitable likes someone being with them with a calm demeanor, but they feel loved by that person because the person loves their excitement. They find it like very interesting and intriguing, and they really want to be with that person because they like the bubbly personality and excitable personality. Then that could work out well. It depends if they see that as a complementary feature, if they see that as something that's really good, or if they see it as a bad thing, right? Because what one person sees as a bad thing, other people can see as a really good thing. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to understand that the way someone views a person is entirely their own view. Not everyone holds the same view about that person. So that's why it's really important to, get to understand the person, and if they're going to be compatible with you, if they really are attracted to you and like you for who you are, or if they're trying to make you something you're not. That's one of the biggest dating and relationship mistakes people make, is they try and change the other person to what they want to be rather than love the person who's in front of them from the beginning. And it's hard because a lot of people project out what they want rather than actually like seeking someone who's right for them in the first place. This is a problem with all sexual orientations and dating and relationships. Humans have a problem in general with projecting and kind of thinking in a fantasy world about what that person would be like with them in the future based on what they want, not what the other person is and what it naturally, what the other person is and they really like. Do you know what I mean? So you have to like look at the person you've got in front of you and decide if who they are and their personality and their character traits and values and beliefs and morals and ethics are something that you can actually like and love and live with. Do you know what I mean? And really enjoy, because you want to be with someone who makes you feel good about who you are and who loves you for who you are, and vice versa, not someone who's trying to make you like them or squeeze you into a tight box or push you down in some way because they just don't really like who you are, even though they're faking it and pretending they do. Do you know what I mean? You can get some people who maybe they haven't got much interest on dating sites, so they're just like dating you or talking to you because they've got no one else available at that time. That is transactional. That's not care and love and genuine like. So major problems on dating apps with any sexual orientation at the moment is that people are just swipe and getting their dopamine hit. And there's more people these days that tend to want to swipe and get a dopamine hit and get like little dopamine hits rather than having serious committed relationships. There's a lot of avoidant attachment style people on dating sites, which means they're avoiding getting into a real relationship with someone, real commitment, and actually understanding that relationships are hard work. They're not easy. Like, everyone pays so much attention to the other areas of their life and put hard work into it. Do you know what I mean? Like going to the gym, that's hard work to tone your body. Do you know what I mean? People who like to keep their car clean and service their car and something. This is all work. This is all hard work, right? To keep things in good condition, to keep things going and growing. But yet then they believe that relationships should be like easy. Why? Everything that you ever want in life that is worth something is hard work. Hello to the people in chat. And so, dating relationships is no different. Dating is a skill and relationships are an even bigger skill, right? You can love each other intensely, but not be compatible. You have to have compatibility in no matter whatever sexual orientation you are. If you're an asexual who's completely sex repulsed, and you're a sexual person who needs sex, likes it, wants it, and has to have some sexual activity, and you're both monogamous, that relationship is not going to work in a healthy way and be compatible. It's going to be a rocky road because neither of you are going to be getting your full own needs met. And it's going to be an imbalance there. in both of you. Do you know what I mean? I've never needed to be on a dating site, and I don't think that's a way to find a relationship. Well, thank you, Steve, for that. There are people who have met through dating sites and are actually in happy relationships. So I am in Matthew Hussey's Love Life Club. If you don't know who Matthew Hussey is, he's the world's #1 dating and relationship coach on YouTube. He's got over 3 million subscribers. I pay to be in his yearly private coaching, his monthly membership, but I pay yearly because it's discounted if you pay yearly. So every month, several times a month, we have live coaching with him, sometimes his wife and his brother. And his brother actually met his partner that he's with now through a dating app, and he said he's known other people who've met through dating apps and had successful relationships. I think some of them are even married now. So not everyone who goes on a dating app ends up disappointed. Some people do meet the love of their life on a dating app. They're very serious as well, and Matthew's brother and their partner. So so it's not actually true, because I obviously, I had coaching last night with, the night before now, because it's gone over midnight in the UK, with Matthew's brother, and he was talking about this, and he met on a dating app. He met his partner on Bumble, it was actually. So, it's not, I've been on Bumble before, years ago, when it was women approach men only, before it changed, and I didn't have any luck on there. But obviously I'm asexual, I'm not looking for a sexual relationship, so that does put a spanner in the work, because the people I came across on there were actually looking for a sexual relationship. And there is Badoo, part of the same company as Bumble, or it used to be. I think it's still part of the same company. And I'm on Badoo, and it's very bad. They've got a category for asexuals on Badoo to say you're asexual, but I've only come across, I think it's 9 people on the asexual spectrum. I can't remember, 9 or 11 in total. But all the people that I found on the asexual spectrum, they either weren't suitable. So, for example, some of the guys were smokers. I cannot be with a smoker. I literally get respiratory infections just from kissing a guy one night on a date, for example, who's a smoker. I can't be doing it. I can't even be doing it with a vape, because it just affects my health really badly. So, I can't have anything like that. So they, and they don't like facial hair either. So a couple of guys were like that, even though they lived not too far from me. And then the others, they actually wanted physical sexual relationships, because they're on the more sexual end of the asexual spectrum. And so that just doesn't suit me. So the rest of the guys I've met on there, they just want to hook up, to have sex. There's some guys I come across who don't just want to hook up, but they're not suitable. They don't want the same things as me in their life. For example, they might want kids, and I don't want kids. They might want marriage. I don't want marriage. Because I'm asexual, but I also don't want sex, like I've said, but I don't want marriage or kids either. I don't like living together. I prefer to live separately. I've lived on my own for a lot of years, and I like it that way. My lifestyle is really not suitable to live with someone. My sleep is all over the place because of my disabilities, and I actually like sleeping in the day and being awake at night. I find it works better with my circadian rhythm, but a lot of people don't do that. So it's better to live separately. Then you don't cause each other sleep problems and stuff like that. So there's that to think about. Consider having what they call a living apart together relationship, where you're in a relationship but you live separately. I personally can't do long distance relationship. I tried it, doing long distance from this country to another country. That's no good for me, because I need a guy to eventually move over here, and because I like physical affection. So even though I'm asexual, I still want physical affection, kissing, hugging, cuddling. I like quality in-person time as well. So that's very important for me. That's some of my love languages. So I tried a long distance relationship with someone who was in the UK. He wasn't asexual, but we split up because we had different values, not because of my asexuality. So, and he had problems with his visa as well, and decided not to move to my city. So, I don't want, even doing long distance in my own country wasn't good for me. Some asexuals can do long distance because they don't need physical touch. They could live without it for months or even years. Do you know what I mean? I can't. I need kissing and cuddling. I need kissing. I'm a hyper kisser as well as a hyper romantic. So even though I'm not interested in sex, with my clothes on, I'd like to add, which is rare. I've never come across a hyper kisser in any sexual orientation. I'm the only one I know in the world like that. But that's how it is. So I'm very rare. I've never needed to be on a right. Okay. I met my wife in a nightclub and been married 25 years. Dating apps weren't around then. Oh, Steve, congratulations on your marriage to your wife for 25 years. That's incredible. And it's quite unusual to be married to someone you met in a nightclub because, like, when I talk about being in the Love Life Club, one of the things that they kind of say, they say about you can go to nightclubs, but they usually say people in nightclubs are not looking for serious relationships. Like, I love clubbing. I don't go very often because of my disabilities, but I love clubbing. I haven't been for like a long time now. But I actually do like it a lot because it actually eases my pain when I do go. And, in terms of fibromyalgia, it actually decreases pain because of the adrenaline. I love dancing. I've actually got dancing qualification from years ago before I had disabilities that I knew about. Although I've always had anxiety all my life, but I've only been diagnosed with anxiety disorder since 2012, generalized anxiety disorder. I'm very open about that. So, yeah. But, yeah, so obviously disabilities plays a part as well because I have disabilities, and it's like if you are having disabilities, that can affect your dating life and your relationships depending on how your disabilities affect you. And there are disabled dating groups. I'm in one of them on Facebook, for example, but someone was asking the question like, would you rather be with another disabled person in a relationship or would you rather be with an able-bodied person in a relationship? Now, my answer to this was nuanced because it was like, it depends on if the person's disabilities complemented my own or not. Because if they didn't, it'd be no good. So, for example, I can't be cooking and cleaning for any guy, like of any sexual orientation or anything, because I takes me all my time, energy, and effort to look after myself. I mean, I have times when I can't cook for myself. I'm just like having tuna and lentil chips and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I cook in very strange ways. I posted some vlogs about that. I cook everything in tinfoil trays in my oven and I just put it on and set it for 60 minutes. Don't even heat it. Don't use any pots. Don't use any pans or anything like that, And I tailor my life to my disabilities. So sometimes I'm too much in pain to do any housework and you know what I mean? And even take the rubbish out, you know what I mean? And then today was yesterday now, because we've gone over midnight in the UK, was a much better day for me because I was able to go out and do some shopping for myself. But for days I injured myself trying to do some exercise, and so it's up and down. So I prefer to live separately because of my disabilities as well. I think it's just too much for me to live with someone else with my own disabilities, especially when you have expectations when you live together. In my way of thinking, I like to just live in my own home, pay my own bills, pay my own food, and do my own thing, take care of me. Then I haven't got to worry about anyone else. Worrying about my disabilities 24/7 is like a full-time energy depleting job as it is, without worrying about someone else and like cooking for them or cleaning that. It's like I don't do that for them. It's like if they want that, they have to do it themselves. I need an independent guy because I can't be doing with it. So do you know what I mean? I couldn't be with a disabled person who needed physically lifting and stuff like that because I have a chronic pain condition that affects the nerves and muscles of the body. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I can't lift very much. Other times you see me lifting weights, because I'm doing spinal rehabilitation constantly. Even though my spine is a lot better, I broke 3 bones and I always have a weakness there. So I have to keep my spine strong by doing weights when I can as part of like what my physio told me to do. But it's not easy doing that. And I've got rowing machine, but I've barely used it. And when I did use it last week, I literally damaged this arm, my shoulder blades. I was in agony for days with those ice packs, sleeping with ice packs, ice packing up throughout the day. Do you know what I mean? That's not really suitable for someone who's like may work a 9-to-5 job and they don't want to be disturbed in the night. And you know what I mean? Like I wasn't even going to sleep till like 7:30 sometimes or whatever because I'm in too much pain. Do you know what I mean? And I don't get to bed till late anyway. So, you know what I mean? I would not be able to physically take care of someone who needed me to like do shopping and all sorts for them because I can't even do it for myself. I need help really to do it for myself. But, have to do the best I can for me. Sometimes I order food shopping, but I can't from all supermarkets. But you know what I mean? I can't be doing that. It stresses me out doing it for myself. I try and minimize what I do for myself, the minimal housework I can. I got a robotic Hoover, Raj, if you haven't met him already. Steve, nightclubs was how I used to meet girls that turned into relationships, some long, some short. When I met my wife, it felt different, and we were together for 8 years before getting married. Oh, Steve, you're warming my heart here. That's incredible. Well done, you. Congratulations. That's beautiful. So been 25 years married and 8 years Wow, so that's 33 years. Am I right? Is my calculations right? That's incredible. Yeah, unfortunately, like now dating relationships are so hard because of the apps, because a lot of people have got so much choice and they're just swiping all the time. And they know that if they have a date with one person, a lot of the time they can just go and get a date with someone else or go and talk to someone else when they're feeling lonely. So some people, they just use dating apps because they're lonely and they just want people to chat to. They don't even want a relationship. Other people use dating apps because they want to just hook up. They don't want anything serious. So other people use dating apps because they wanted to avoid it. But there are people like me, even though we're rare, who genuinely want to find a loving, caring, committed partner for a relationship. Do you know what I mean? And because I exist, there's got to be other people out there like me who also exist. Do you know what I mean? I feel that, and I fear that a lot of asexuals, for example, in Facebook groups, a lot of them have given up on dating relationships completely because they're like, they got nowhere, they feel rejected, and it's just like they can't be bothered anymore. And I get 50-50 on a relationship. Sometimes I just prefer to be on my own. I'm a lot happier being on my own. I have lived on my own for a very long time. Very, very, very long time. So I've had to take care of myself for a lot of my life. So yeah, so it's kind of like I'm used to living on my own. So probably a lot of lies told on dating sites. Yeah, there are also, they're fake profiles on dating apps. Some women are not good on dating apps as well. So some guys even put in their profile that if you're looking for money, I don't look for money, obviously, and I refuse money if someone asks me for money. But I just want to make that clear. But yeah, some women must ask them for money because they see my I show them seeing their profile. They put like no OnlyFans, please, no people asking for money, or mobile phones. So it seems like some women must ask them for mobile phones or money or OnlyFans. But yeah, there is a lot of fakes. Plus, so there's some good news and bad news with AI. So the good news you could say is some people are dating AI now. So for people who don't want sex and want a sexless relationship, or are happy to have a sexless relationship with an AI, it's opened up an opportunity of having a relationship with an artificial intelligence rather than a human. Some people who are not asexual, I have to say, are dating and in relationships with AI, and some are married to AI, right? They're, you know, and I'm writing How to Date an AI Bot, Build Relationships with AI Companions Confidently and Safely. So that's a book I've parked at the moment, but I am going to be finishing that. But I've got a couple of asexual books I want to get out. Then I'll be going back to the AI bot book. I spoke at an AI event this year, AI Southwest Live in February. I was talking about how many people are having dating and relationships, well, intimate and romantic relationships with AI. It was almost a third of Americans reported last year, I think it was in April last year, that they had an intimate or romantic relationship with an AI. So it's mind-boggling. So yeah, it's like, it's good in the sense that for some asexuals, the answer, having a relationship with an artificial intelligence, might work out well. You know, because we don't need sex, a lot of us. And also it can be bad because AI is being used on dating sites to just write out messages and text back to people. And it's not even the person. So the person is using AI to just write their profiles for them, you know, do pictures for them, write answers out. And then if they are not speaking that themselves and don't even understand what the AI is saying, or that they're not that person, do you know what I mean? They're not, you know, they can't even speak proper English, for example, they're going to find out that that person's not being authentic and true. Do you know what I mean? So some people are using AI in a bad way for that as well. Steve, see, if I was no longer with my wife, I still wouldn't go on a dating site. I reckon I could meet someone in the supermarket who's local. Have you been eyeing up someone in the supermarket, Steve? Have you? Yeah, I mean, in the Love Life Club, Matthew encourages people to go on dating sites, dating apps, and in real life. He's all about maximizing your chances because, I mean, I worked in retail sales for years. And like anything, dating is a numbers game. The more people you speak to, in general, the more opportunities you have of meeting someone for a dating or relationship because you're talking to more and more people. It's like when you're trying to make a sale, the more people you talk to, you're bound to eventually come across someone who probably wants what you've got. That's a theory anyway. You know what I mean? In a retail department store, the more people you got through the door, the more chance you have of selling to them. So in dating, it's a similar thing. The more people you get to talk to, the more likely you are to meet someone. On Badoo, they actively encourage people to like swipe through 50 people to find dating or relationship match. 50 people. So it seems like only 1 in every 50 people is likely to possibly be a match. So yeah, there's still a lot of in-person ways you can meet people. And I do agree it's a good idea to try and meet people in person as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I go to meetup.com, meetups, a lot of them for socializing, not for dating or relationships, but you never know, I might meet someone suitable for dating relationships in through that. So if you're looking to date or get into a relationship with someone in real life, you know, do look on meetup.com, because they have lots of different types of meetups throughout the year across the world. And so that's a really good thing to do. You know, you can join local hobby groups, interest groups, go to local concerts, go to bars and pubs where they have maybe live music. If you're into that type of thing, go to dance class, pottery class, reading club, Comic-Con, all these types of things are places that you might find someone suitable for a relationship. It's basically getting out. But you have to get out of your comfort zone a lot. You have to get out of your comfort zone and go and do things you wouldn't normally do, and go in places you wouldn't normally go. Because if you're seeing the same people and you're not attracted or compatible or so, you know, to any of the people there, and you just keep seeing the same people all the time, it's no good. You have to get out of your comfort zone, go elsewhere, go to a different city, go to a different town, do something different. Do you know what I mean? You can actually tell if someone likes you. It actually happened to me not long ago in McDonald's drive-through. I could see the woman like me, but I'm obviously not interested. Yeah, I mean, I can tell if a guy's like me. There's lots of guys that like me, but it doesn't mean to say we're compatible. So you've got to bear that in mind. Like, just because someone likes you and is attracted to you, attraction isn't compatibility, which is where most people fail, particularly in modern dating. They think, oh, someone's interested in me, that means we're compatible. No, interest does not equal compatibility. Compatibility makes or breaks a relationship. Compatibility makes or breaks a relationship. I've repeated myself on purpose there. Interest is not the same as intention. This is what Matthew teaches in Love Life Club as well. Interest is not the same as intention. And attraction is not the same as compatibility. You could be deeply attracted to someone. The most attractive people to each other are usually not suitable for each other. But because of the high attraction, it creates this false sense of security where you think, oh, this is my person. Like, do you know what I mean? So you might have loads. I have loads of guys interested in me. So I'm very secure within myself, because I'm very boundary driven with guys when I need to be, when I want to be, right? If I want to kiss a guy because I'm single, I'll kiss a guy if he wants that and I'm willing to do that. I feel comfortable enough to do it without it leading to sex, right? But that's because that's my boundary, and I'm very like, you know, don't do this, don't do that. If I want to do that, I'll do it. If I'll consent to it. If I don't want to consent to it, I'm not interested, right? So we have to stop confusing interest and attraction with compatibility. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. And this is why people have affairs. They're like, oh, I've got this person interested in me. Right? They may have that person interested in them. They might have a lot of attraction to them, but the person you're actually with might be the most compatible person, the one you're with right now. And instead of spicing up your current relationship by going out to different places, doing different things, being in different environments together, they're too busy looking outside of the relationship because someone was attracted to them and made them feel a certain way. But that person, you know, is not usually the compatible person. The compatible person is one you feel more comfortable with. The one that you feel more like you can just be in a comfy armchair next to them and pass gas or whatever, you know what I mean? And be ill next to them. And they would still be there. You look your worst and they think like you're still beautiful inside. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of people these days, even on dating apps, they're going for the wrong thing. They're going for looks. Looks fade, looks change, and looks doesn't mean to say they've got a great character. They can have the most amazing look, but be a right so-and-so. Do you know what I mean? So you should be looking for character traits more than anything. And, you know, it's like I get loads of guys interested in me, but I can, you know, if I'm in a relationship with a guy, it's like I'm taken, you know what I mean? And I give off that vibe, but I find it hard to find a guy who's boundary driven with women. They just lap up the attention. It's like, oh, she likes me, you know what I mean? And they can't actually go like, I'm taken. Like I'm someone's guy, you know what I mean? I'm Sandra's guy. I'm not interested. Like, you know what I mean? Because they like the attention because it's ego driven. There's a lot of people very ego driven, and they want someone to like say how good looking they are and gorgeous and feel that attraction because it's their ego. But ego can lead down a very dark and wrong path and take you away from true love. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to be very careful of that. So not necessarily compatible, but I'm saying it's a way to date. I don't know what you're talking about. Looks are most important. Looks are most important, let's face it. Well, they're not the most important thing. You could have someone who's so good looking, but you get in an accident, right? You're in a car traffic accident. And that person's like, you know, say you get disabled because you're in a car traffic accident, right? And that person is only dating you for your looks, right? And because, you know, you can take them out and you can, in your car, because your car's nice and flashy, you can take them out in your car and you look great, right? But as soon as you have the accident, car traffic accident, for example, hope this never happens to you, but you do, and then you end up in a wheelchair and need to be pushed around, and that woman's like, you know what, I'm out of here. You can't even put money on the table anymore because you have no job left because you had to give it up because you're disabled. And I don't want to be with this disabled guy. This is how some people treat disabled people. I just want to be with someone who's rich, who has a great car, can travel around everywhere and look good on my arm. So I'm dumping you right now. Imagine if you're in that position, how you would feel. Do you still think her looks are the most amazing thing when you're actually left on your own? You can't even go to the shops on your own. Maybe you live in a top floor flat and you have to use a wheelchair and you're having to like go on your bum down the stairs or something, and she's just left you, and you've left your friends, you know, any friends that have got good personalities, you've just left because all you want is their looks and their car. And you're just like, yeah, what are you gonna have then? It's just rubbish, absolute rubbish. Do you know what I mean? You know, looks are not the most important thing, right? Looks can change on a person. People can change their weight, they can change their body shape, they can change their height, they can change their physicality, especially if they end up disabled or ill or something. Right? I have disabilities, but unseen disabilities. Do you know what I mean? And so I have a lot of guys that like me for my looks, but that's not making them compatible for a relationship with me. You know, personality is just as important as looks, says someone. I think personality is more important than looks overall. I think you have to be attracted to the person that you're in a relationship with or dating. But for me personally, I can become attracted to a guy that I wasn't actually attracted to aesthetically before when I spend more and more time with him and get to know his personality and become emotionally bonded to him. Like, one of the guys that was my long-term ex, I've had 2 long-term exes. The second guy, well, you know, the last relationship I had, he wasn't good to me in lots of ways. So it's good that we're not together. He was very abusive in lots of ways, not sexually though, but he was very abusive in lots of ways. So it's good we're not together. But my point being that I wasn't actually attracted to him. I knew him as a friend for 8 months before we got together. So I didn't realise he was abusive in that time because he wasn't showing me that side of him at all. The opposite, actually. A lot of care and making me food and meals and massaging my feet and all sorts of stuff. We became very close. But, and, you know, he was very talkative and there for me and all that sort of stuff, which changed when I got into a relationship with him, which is really sad. But anyway, that's how it happened. And my point is aesthetically, I was not attracted to him. Like, as a friend, I just wasn't attracted to him because for a quite long time, because he wasn't my type. He wasn't aesthetically what I like and what I look for in a guy. He was like very different. But because I grew in, you know, affection with him in terms of friendship over time, and I grew more and more towards being attracted to him, so I did love him. Because it grew over time, because we shared a lot of conversations and all that type of thing. So I can become attracted to someone I wasn't necessarily attracted to before. And also, when I'm in a relationship with a guy, I tend to be most attracted to him. Luckily for him, I can think he's the most attractive guy in the world, even if he's not necessarily by typical standards. Because that's how I feel when I get really close to someone. It's like, oh, I think they're the most gorgeous looking person in the world for me, not for everyone else, but for me. I'm not interested in what other people think, because I don't need other people's approval of who I like and him in a relationship with and who I'm attracted to. If you do, then it's an ego thing, you see. So, you've got to think like in terms of longevity, right? People can grow old, they can have grey hair, they can grow hair in very strange places. They can, they can end up with physical disabilities, mental health conditions. I got physical and mental health conditions. And, they can, although I've had mine quite a long time, some of them, you can get them when you're really young as well. There was a girl who's 15 years old I met in one of my jobs, and she has one of the conditions I've got. So, yeah. But my point is life is different. Life changes. If you've got someone who looks great on paper and looks friggin' awesome, but has a shit personality and puts you down, treats you like dirt, makes you feel bad about yourself, is abusive, maybe physically, emotionally, mentally, all three, or worse if they're sexually abusive, and all this type of stuff. So you can't just go by looks, because unless they're kind, caring, considerate, and that lot, compassionate, can have difficult conversations with you, can really be together in a healthy way, that's not good for you. They should be making you feel safe and secure in the relationship. You know what I mean? That the relationship has to survive on safety. And if the person looks great, but you're feeling insecure with them all the time because all the people are looking at them, that's not good, is it? So okay, I've been lucky because I still really fancy my wife. Oh, Steve, that's wonderful. That's really good. And it's good that you say personality is just as important as looks. I think personality is more important than looks overall, but I get aesthetic attraction. Like, I can't be with someone I can't be with a guy I'm not aesthetically attracted to at all. I just can't. Do you know what I mean? Like, with my ex, I was friends with him first and became more and more attracted to him as I got talking to him before I got into a relationship with him. It didn't happen that I got into a relationship and then became attracted to him. It's just I wasn't attracted to him for quite a long time because he wasn't my type. And as I grew to talk to him more as a friend, that's when I began to be more and more attracted to him before I said yes to be in a relationship with him. So, yeah, so I'm really glad, Steve, that you've been lucky enough because you still really fancy your wife. I think it's very important, and I do hear some guys, they're like, oh, our spark's dying. It's like, you're a guy, you're the leader in the relationship if you're having a stereotypical gender relationship, right? And so it's like, it's up to you to bring spark back into the relationship. It's up to you to spice it up. It's up to you to do something different. If you're living in an equality relationship, it's up to both of you, right? And ideally, you do want like people to, chat about this, and if like do something different together and this type of thing as a team. But you know what I mean? But I hear some guys on dating sites and they're like, oh, I'm so bored in my relationship, or they, I have married guys who come after me, and it's like, I'm really not interested. Like, if you spent as much time talking to me and other women, I mean, if you spent as much time talking to your wife, as you did me and other women, then you'd have a much better relationship with your wife. And so it's like, a lot of the time I'm like, just go and speak to your wife. It's like crazy. They spend so much time doing deceptive stuff behind their wife's back with other women rather than actually going to their woman and making their relationship better. Do you know what I mean? The grass is not always greener on the other side. Do you know what I mean? Michelle says, hi, do you remember me? I don't remember you specifically, Michelle, because unfortunately or unfortunately for you, I speak to so many people on my chats. So I can't remember every single person, unfortunately. But anyway, hello to you. So yeah, so this is why it's really important. I'm glad, Steve, that you still really fancy your wife. It's very important, Like, I'm fortunate in myself to, like, when I'm in a relationship, I don't really become unattracted to the person I'm in a relationship with. The guy, I usually end up being more and more attracted to them. The more I spend time with them, the more I'm with them, the more I'm around them. So for me, I kind of feel I'm different to quite a lot of people. So I've discovered that quite a lot of people get bored in their relationships, especially when they've been with someone for years. Whereas with me, I haven't really experienced that usually. I haven't usually been bored with the person. I've usually had unhealthy relationships, which, is why I'm in the Love Life Club, to try and improve myself and understand relationships and dating better and understand red flags more and attachment styles and healthy relationship patterns. Do you know what I mean? I'm there to improve myself first and foremost. Steve, men like that are obviously married to the wrong woman. Oh, yeah, I mean, Yeah, I mean, men like that, in some ways, you're right. Men like that are obviously married to the wrong woman in the sense that if it was their person, they wouldn't be doing that. But having said that, some guys would just cheat on any woman they're with because they're ego driven. So even if they get a little bit of attention from a woman, they're lapping it up. And when and they are very ego driven. There's different types of people, but they're very ego driven. So their ego says, I need attention from women. I need like a woman to constantly say they like me. I need to be getting a fix of dopamine from texting other women, and they're very ego driven. So sometimes it's not necessary. I mean, you could argue they're with the wrong woman because they're not faithful to them, but some guys, they just aren't faithful. They just constantly unfaithful. It's their pattern they have. And unless they're willing to change that and work on it for a number of years, they're not going to change. They just repeat the same pattern with different women over and over and over again, particularly narcissistic guys. Narcissistic guys are driven by ego. What people think of them in the outside world is their baseline. They're usually very abusive to women behind, or it could be a male, it could be a woman narcissist as well. It could be any gender narcissist. But if I just, have more personal experience of narcissistic men, but anyone can be a narcissist, in terms of like any gender. But narcissists and narcissistic trait people, they are driven by ego. What people think of them. They must maintain an image at all times. And they are very driven by their ego. They like attention. They like their ego to be stroked. They like to feel like a sense of superiority and entitlement to any woman they want and that type of thing. So it's not necessary that the woman was a wrong person in general, or wrong for them had they been the right person. It's the sense that that person isn't right for them. Rather than married to the wrong woman, it's like the woman is married to the wrong man. Because he's no good if he's doing that, if you know what I mean. Would you agree that a woman will never love a man unconditionally? This is a really difficult question, is it? Would you agree that a woman will never truly love a man unconditionally? I always find this question very difficult to answer because I don't believe in romantic relationships. Really, there is any such thing as a total unconditional loving relationship. 100%, because people have to have boundaries in place. People have different values, beliefs, and lifestyles and stuff, and obviously if a guy treats a woman really badly, she shouldn't love him unconditionally to the point where he can abuse her and do whatever he likes. There should be like a condition, like, that you abused me and I'm out of here. I'm not being here anymore. So some people will see that as a standard. They won't see it as a condition. Some people would just see that as a normal thing rather than a condition. But I don't really think in romantic relationships 100% you can have something that's completely unconditional. That's just what I personally believe, because I believe like if you have a family member who's really nasty and abusive, you might still love that person. You might still love a man unconditionally from the point of view of, even if he's abusive, you might still really love him, but you might not stay with him in an unconditional love relationship because he's abusive, for example. So someone like some women, or whoever gender they are, you could still love someone passionately, intensely, but they'd be absolutely the wrong person for you. And you have to let that person go from your life. If they're abusive, you have to block them usually. And most people should not be talking to their exes anyway, because it's a recipe for disaster and unrequited feelings. Or what if I'm ever not with this person and I can get back with my ex? What if? You know what I mean? You need to eliminate all those, really. So I think you can love someone in terms of unconditional acts, and you love them however they treat you. But I don't think you can stay with someone in 100% unconditional love. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So you can love someone unconditionally, but you can't stay with everyone you love unconditionally if they're wrong for you and treat you badly, or just not compatible with you. You have to leave that situation. I hope that makes sense. Steve, I've never been bored, but I understand what you're saying. Some women will, Billy, if it's the right relationship. Yeah, I agree with that, says Steve. Yeah, so yeah, it's very difficult, because you have to have standards, you have to have boundaries, and you have to have things that are just deal breakers for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't be with a guy who's dishonest. So my ex that I'm no longer with since 2024, we had different values, and he valued dishonesty, I valued honesty. Like, I can't stay with someone like that, even though I felt I loved him at the time. I can't stay with that type of person, because it's just, you can't be safe in a relationship with someone who's not honest about everything with you. Do you know what I mean? So that is no good. Like, even like the last long-term relationship I had, I was really loved that person for years. I was with them there, but he was really abusive. Very abusive. At that time I wasn't strong enough to leave the relationship myself, the second time, because we got back together. So it's kind of weird. I got back with him for a lot more years and I should never have done it, but anyway, that happened. But he left because the first time we split up, he blamed everything on me and said, "Oh, you're so bad because you left me." And so and he stalked me for 6 months, and I had to get the police involved. I don't really want to go into all this, but you can imagine it wasn't a healthy relationship. But I loved him implicitly. Like, even now I have like dreams with him in it, so I'm still with him. Sometimes it's awful. I don't even want to. That was years ago. And I'm not interested in being with him. He's no good for me. I have to stay away from him. I'm at risk of harm from being near him even. Still. So, you know what I mean? It's not good for me. But because I loved him so much, and, it was really hard. It took me 18 months to 2 years to get over that relationship. So, but even now, like, I have like dreams with him in it. So I'm still in the relationship, and it's awful for me. So I don't want to be, but I have post-traumatic stress disorder. I have CPTSD actually, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder from like lots of relationships that weren't good for me. So so you do have to have trust in each other for a good relationship. Yeah, exactly. And if a person's baseline is dishonesty, then you can't be with the person. They were doing some dodgy stuff to stay in the UK as well, and they had problems with their visa in the end. So, would you stay in a relationship with man who is no longer able to provide? I live on my own, and I don't need a guy to provide for me. So I would be in a relationship with a guy who lived separately to me. If I wouldn't give him money, so he'd have to be able to provide for himself, but he doesn't need to provide for me. But I would want a guy to give me a gift, for example, at birthday and Christmas and stuff like that, because that's a real big deal to me. I can't be with someone in a relationship that doesn't give gifts at special times, because my birthday is such a big deal to me. I give myself gifts. I take myself out every year for my birthday usually. And so, yeah, so it depends on the situation he's in. If he's in massive debt and, he can't even get me a gift for my birthday or whatever, or little gifts now and again and stuff like that wouldn't really suit me. But in terms of right now, I don't need a guy who'll pay for my bills or anything like that, or food. I take care of myself. I won't pay for his stuff, so he can pay for that himself. I don't pay for other people's. I'm very much a modern day girl in this sense that I expect a guy to like pay for most of himself and me pay for most of myself. For things like if I'm out, it's like I pay for my own food, exactly what I eat, and he pays for his part of the bill. That's how I work usually. But I am open to a guy paying a little bit more for me sometimes, like buying me an extra drink after my meal and stuff like that. So usually in the past with guys, I pay for my own stuff, they pay for their own stuff. Well, sometimes the guy will want to provide a little bit more, or want to buy me an extra drink. Or sometimes occasionally might pay for my meal. But in general, I literally, I'm not even 50-50 split, because in my experience, guys' meals are usually more expensive than my own. And I have a strict budget where I live because I'm on disability. So my flat is really expensive. And so it's not taking care of myself if I'm paying like for more than I would usually pay for. So if the guy's meals are usually more expensive than mine, and drinks and whatever he has, and I go 50-50, I'm actually paying more every time I see him, which is just going to make me not be able to budget my money effectively. Because when I'm I only go out if I can afford to go out. I'm not a person who gets in debt. And, I'm very careful on what I spend, on the deals I get. And a lot of the time I'm indoors anyway. You know what I mean? So if a guy was to provide for himself, and then maybe occasionally buy me a drink and a little bit like that occasionally, and little gifts would be nice, and birthday and Christmas present, I'd be all right with that. But if it was a guy who was in debt, never wanted to buy me a gift or anything like that, didn't actually want to like occasionally buy me an extra drink and stuff like that, I don't think that would be suitable for me at all. Because my birthday is a huge deal to me, and Christmas is a big deal. And I don't like people who don't get gifts. There's something personally I don't like. You know, I'm like, if you're in a relationship, I'm really romantic. I'm excessively romantic. So for me, gifts are romantic. Even if a guy buys me just a little $2.99 bunch of flowers, I'm like, oh my God, that's so cute. You know what I mean? That type of thing. And I just like that, you know, it makes me feel good. So, but if a guy, like, you know, I don't expect a guy to pay my bills, or, you know, to pay for my food that I use myself in my own home and stuff like that, and to buy me things every day and regularly like that. No, I don't need that. I got my own money, and I have strict budgets and things. I have a lot of health products I have to buy because of all my disabilities and health conditions and the way I live my life. So, but when I was in a relationship years ago, one of the worst things I found was financial stuff, because a lot of relationships break down because of financial matters. And some of it's just different ideology about what to spend your money on. Now, when you live together, especially if you have a joint account, that can be really hard. But that's why I like separate accounts, separate places to live. They can pay and do what the hell they want with their own place, right? I do what I want with mine. However, there is a caveat to that. Like, I had my last long-term ex, it was really bad because I have physical disabilities, and his bed was so bad you could feel the springs, and it made me really hurt even more. This is years ago. I got even more disabilities now than I had back then. And do you know what I mean? It's really difficult to sleep in his place, because we used to stay over each other's places. Not this place where I lived, you know, now, where I live now, or the last place. It was the place before. We used to live separately for years. We lived together at one point, but it didn't work. And then 6 months we split, but he stalked me, and that's when the police got involved. And I got back with him for 7 years. It should never have happened, but it did. So I was with him in total for 8.5 years. Including the 6-month break. So yeah, it's just, but the only thing that's difficult living in different places is you have to kind of take some of your clothes over to the other person's. You have to take some of your own food, unless they pay for your food. You have to take like another hairdryer, another lot of like cleaning stuff in the shower or whatever. But you know, he used to spend loads of money on his image. Like I said, narcissistic people, for example. He was really a narcissist. I didn't even know the word narcissist back then. Are very much ego driven. So to the world, he looks cool. He's got the latest gear. He looks great, you know. But his place was like a shite tip, right? Stuff all over the floor, curtains hanging off the poles, bed you can feel the springs through. It wasn't even a new bed. It was a second-hand one he got from a mate. And he lives in a shite tip, right? But to the outside world, he's this cool, laid back, latest gear, latest jeans, the latest, you know, clothing and everything, latest really expensive aftershave. So it's like he lived two different lives. One to the outside world, where it's like, for any woman looking at that, they might think, oh, he's a good catch in terms of money, image, status, the clothes said, and everything like that. But when you get to the reality of what he was like behind closed doors, personality really bad, walking on eggshells all the time, never safe. He's very emotionally, mentally abusive, physically, you know what I mean, and lived in a shite tip. And you know what I mean, it's like being with a person in two different worlds. But he was all about image and ego, which is what narcissistic people and often abusive people are. You know, to the outside world, they're this amazing, incredible person, and then in their actual own home, they just act like a slob, basically, and are lazy and just like don't care. Like, he didn't even care about me being in pain on the bed, because he wanted to have the cheapest bed that was secondhand from his mate, and he didn't care about the springs. It didn't bother him, because he could save his money then for his clothes and his aftershave and gaming. He loved gaming, and he was a gamer and traded games in as well. I'm not interested in gaming, but he was. And so, you know what I mean? And so he used to spend money on that type of stuff. And to me, I've got completely different priorities. And so, you know what I mean? So if you live with someone like that, or in a relationship with someone, and you have to share money and bill responsibility, which we did live together for a while, it becomes very difficult because I think he's like squandering his money on buying the latest stuff and not, you know, when I was in a relationship with him, I thought this is a very long time ago now. And then obviously I thought he wasn't very considerate of my health, you know, leaving me with very bad back pain more than other pain, couldn't sleep very well. At that time I worked in for an employer. I can't do that anymore because of my disabilities. But do you know what I mean? It's like he didn't care. His personality really sucked and he didn't care enough about me in that way. But he used to buy me lots of gifts, expensive gifts as well, and take me out to expensive restaurants. Because again, it makes him look like a good guy. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like, you know, I did like getting gifts from him, although some he got from work for free and then just wrapped them up and said it was from him. But you know, he even blackmailed me. At one point I was going to marry him. He got me an engagement ring, but he paid it off in installments and blackmailed me with the engagement ring. Like, if you don't be a good girl, I'm not giving you the engagement ring. You know, this is really psychotic. He got more and more psychotic. But you know, it's just like disturbed stuff he used to get up to. You know what I mean? You don't blackmail someone like that. It's just ridiculous. And so yeah, it was awful. Anyway, there was not everything was awful, obviously, because I like the kissing and romance and stuff. I was very good at romance and kissing. But if you want anything good about him, and obviously I was friends with him first, but I always in my mind thought he'd go back to the way he was when he was kind and caring to me in the very beginning of our relationship, which didn't last very long after we were friends for 8 months. So what we need to do in dating relationships is not think about the person that they were. As soon as they change behavior, we need to monitor the new behavior they have, or the behavior they were covering up in the first place, and then base our decision to stay in a relationship or not with the person they actually are, not who they pretend to be, pose to be, disguise themselves as being, this type of stuff. Because you can find that some guys, for example, or any gender, I'm just saying guys because that's who I'm interested in, they can love bomb a lot, like be really, really interested and then just go cold. This love bombing's a really toxic trait. And so to get you hooked on them, and then they give you minimal breadcrumbs to keep you hooked in the relationship or dating scenario. Whereas we have to become disinterested in this type of person. Like, you know what? I'm not doing this. It's wasting my energy. I want someone who's consistent, who's reliable, who's healthy for me, makes me feel safe, not someone who confuses me and I don't know where the hell I stand with them from one day to the next. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, there's got to be a certain level of responsibility and accountability to who you date and have a relationship with. And, you know, they need to, you know, be responsible for themselves. So, yeah, so I can be with a guy who's not got a flash car and not earning a huge amount of money and stuff like that, but who genuinely cares about me. And I prefer to have separate accounts because, you know, I don't necessarily agree with what the other person spends their money on. They might not necessarily agree what I spend my money on. But if you've got your own money, you then can't argue about it because they can spend their money on what they like. You can spend the money on what you like if you live separately. If you live together, but another person's earning much more money than you, yet you're both equally paying bills, but yet they've got loads more money free to spend on what they like, but you're barely able to even go out because you haven't got much money and they're not paying for you to go out, you can feel a bit trapped as well. So that can be another problematic thing if you're in a relationship, especially with someone who like squanders a lot of or uses a lot of money for themselves and they don't even think about you. If you're, do you know what I mean? So if you're sharing a place, say the place is like, I don't know, £1,000, just take it, and like you're each paying like £500, just say the bills are included for argument's sake, right? But that person, but like that £500, like say, I know it's like going to be more than this in this day and age, but say your income is like, I don't know, 900 or something, I don't know, and you know, your 500 is your rent, you've got 900, I don't know, and then but you have like more outgoings, and they're like got, I don't know, an extra £1,000 on top, but they you know, they can just like have those outgoings as well. Say there were bills on top and you needed to use some of that £400 for the £900 on bills. Say, you know, bills were a couple of £100, that only leaves like £200 for food or whatever. You're skimping and scraping for food, but that other person's got like £1,000. So they paid £200 towards the bills, but yet they've got another £800 free and they're using it to go and live the high life. And then you're like, can't even go out because you need the money for food. that's not a very equal relationship, and it doesn't feel good. It feels like quite shite, and you're like, but if you want to stay with that person in that scenario, paying equally half, then you have to forfeit going out, say you were on your own with a lower price place. Do you see what I mean? And you can build up resentment for that. You can see them squandering, well, you might think they're squandering money, they might not, on the latest clothing that they don't really need, but it's because it's the latest gear, they want to look trendy. And, like they could be spending it on, I don't know, like going out loads to different places. They could be spending on God knows what, that you might not even personally agree with your morals, values and ethics. And then you can't even go out. And then you feel trapped in the relationship because, like, if I want to stay with this person, I've got to live this lifestyle because I've got to pay half the bills equally, which I agreed to in the first place. This is how relationships can become very imbalanced, and also how financial problems occur and how resentment can occur, and you can live a rubbish life if you've got very different amounts of money come in. So I think, personally, I prefer to live separately and have my own money in my own bank account, pay my own bills, my own food, and do my own budgeting. And that's why I don't usually pay for the guy as well. The majority of the time I don't buy things for a guy, like meals and stuff and drinks and that. Usually because they spend a lot more money than I do on their food and their drink. And, I would lower my budget and I wouldn't be able to go out at all. Do you know what I mean? Myself will have any life. A lot of the time I don't go out anyway because of my disabilities. But occasionally, like tomorrow, I've got... today now, because it's Friday in the UK, I'm going to 2 meetups, but they're in the same building. So I only have to move from upstairs to downstairs, and it's near where I used to live, so I know the place anyway. But it's just like 2 meetups happen to be in the same venue, just one upstairs and one downstairs, so I just go from one to the other. Like, but just imagine, like, if I was in a relationship, I might not even have enough money to do that. So you know what I mean? And I have a lot of supplements I have to buy and health stuff. So yeah, I think financial problems can really cause difficulties, and also different lifestyles. Like, if you're a person who lives a 9-to-5 life, goes and does work, and then comes home and just wants to eat and go to bed like 10, half 10, 11, maybe midnight at the latest, but the other person is like a night owl, they're like up until like 2 or later a.m. in the morning, and and they're still sleeping at 7 o'clock when you got to get out for work, and you're then in the shower and you're like making noise when they're trying to sleep, and when you're trying to sleep they're making noise because they're awake as a night owl and doing their work or dancing around the room or whatever they're doing. It's not compatible, is it? This is why I think living apart together relationships in general are a lot better in that respect, unless you're very comfortable with exactly the same lifestyle, your money you're not resentful of, and things are working out fine in that regard. Some people's do, some people are fine with it and they're comfortable and everything like that, which is great. But I personally think living apart together relationships will feature a lot more in the 21st century now and beyond. I think more and more people are going to have these types of relationships. And some good news I've heard is there's a lot less people having sex, like guys in their 20s, for example. I watch quite a lot of programs. Now, while the world is beginning to think this is a crisis, I see it as a very positive thing, because I think the more people that don't have sex and don't need sex for years of their life, the more chance they have of wanting to be in a relationship with an asexual person, because they've gone without sex for years. They're not bothered about it. They don't hold it in high regard like they used to. So while some expert podcasts are going, oh, it's like a catastrophe, it's a real problem for the youth of today, and it's really so bad, I'm there thinking, wow, at last more and more people having less sex. And while people are going, it's really bad, I'm thinking it's great, because this is a good thing, because it opens up those people to the idea and possibility of having a relationship without sex and being fine without sex for years and years of their life. Do you know what I mean? It's like if they've gone for 3-5 years without sex, they might be fine having a lifetime without sex. You know what I mean? And the more people have relationships with AI that aren't asexual, for example, the more they get used to having sexless relationships, but emotional connection, understanding, compassion, being understood, that a lot of AIs can give them, the more they might want this type of relationship with a human being that can give them these types of things, but without the sex. So I think these are good things. Steve, I pay all the bills and holidays, and my wife pays for all the food and her clothes, because I rarely buy new clothes. Ah, Steve, she must love you if you rarely buy new clothes. But then she might want you to have a new outfit. She might find it attractive. You never know. So that's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, if it works for you, which clearly it does because you've been married for years, then that's great. I think like years ago compared to the 21st century we live in now is a completely different landscape with dating relationships. My parents, in case you didn't catch the post, have been married 57 years. They've just had their anniversary recently on the 24th of May. And their relationship is not what I personally would want, but it works for them because I'm the opposite to my parents. Like my mum's a traditional housewife. My dad used to go out to work. He's retired now and he's got COPD, so he's on permanent oxygen now. But you know what I mean? But he's still doing some work in the garden in between, like resting at the moment. So, you know, he's got back into doing some activity in just around the home. He can't go very far in terms of walking outside home. Still drives, but with an oxygen tank. So, yeah. But my mum's a traditional housewife, but she's one of the few, if not the person I know that loves being... Oh, sorry. I lost connection a bit there. She loves being a housewife. I might have to plug my charger in. Just a minute. I might have to put a diary underneath. Oh, sorry. I'm going to look at my ceiling. Let me just put... I might need to book a minute my diary or something. Right. I think that's right now. I need to plug this in. Hang on a minute. Right. I think that's better now. Yeah, it's getting a bit low, I think. So, yeah, so my parents have been married for years. My mum loves being a housewife. She absolutely adores it. I don't know anyone that loves being a housewife like my mum does to my dad. She absolutely adores it, you know, but I'm the opposite to that. I don't want to do housework for a guy. I don't want to cook. I don't want to clean for a guy. I don't want to be doing any of that. I'm not even a housewifey type. I'm the exact opposite to my mum. But, you know, so my dad's always been like, he works and my mum does the house stuff. But it works for them really well. But my mum manages quite a lot of the finances between them a lot of the time. Like when my dad had a business, my mum worked in his business doing the accounts. And so she was kind of all there with the money, if you know what I mean. So, but the system they've got, you know, works. But they're the same attachment style, I'd say. You know, same communication style, really. They have similar lifestyle interests, you know, the way they like to live their life, opposite to me, I have to say. And you know what I mean? So because they're so similar in so many ways, that's one they're kind of made for each other. But that relationship wouldn't work for everyone. It's only because they happen to be very similar and the same on a lot of things and compatible so much that it works for them. Do you know what I mean? But obviously I'm not the same as them. I'm the opposite. So it wouldn't be healthy for me to be in a relationship with a guy who wanted a housewife because it's the opposite of who I am. And I don't want to be that type of person. I would feel chained down and trapped and horrible like that because I don't enjoy that. My mum loves it. She absolutely enjoys it. Good for her, I say. And good for them, you know, because it works for them. But that's why compatibility is the most important thing. Luckily, my mum's always looked after my dad, and now he's got COPD. She looks after him even more. She doesn't get paid a carer's allowance, though, which is a bit of a shame because the amount of, you know, she cares for him, really, she should, but they don't get anything like that. But do you know what I mean? She's always been a housewife to him anyway, and she does extra caring for him now, you know, so because he can't go near an oven at all because of the flames with his gas, you know, for his oxygen, I should say, rather than gas, oxygen. He has to have an oxygen tank all the time. So, yeah. And he used to be a blacksmith. So he used to do metal work on the forge, and he can't do that anymore because of COPD. But, yeah. But it works. That's why you've got to find someone who's compatible, either very similar, very the same, or complementary traits, if you know what I mean. Complementary lifestyles, complementary needs for it to work, you know. She should get a carer's allowance. I know I've talked to them about it, but my parents aren't interested in applying for that. So, you know what I mean? I'm on disability benefits myself because I have a lot of ill health conditions. I'm not an introvert, but I live a very introverted life. Most of my stuff's indoors that I post. Like the stuff from Extra Pride, I was out on the 9th of May. I've just finished posting that like now, but that was from like the 9th of May. I wasn't out. You know what I mean? I was out on that day. Still been putting videos from that. But yeah, she should get a carer's allowance. I really think they should apply for it. But my parents don't like me interfering like that. You know, they'll do what they want. So I'm like, okay. the disabled people aren't helped enough. Oh, thank you, Steve. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, my dad has got a disabled person's parking badge now. So they do have a blue badge, it's called in the UK. So they do have that. So he applied for that, and that took quite a lot of time to fill in a form and stuff. Because he can't even walk very far at all. And he has, you know, very, very, very small place, you know, very small amount. So he really should get, you know, like he probably could get PIP and stuff, but they don't want to apply for it. It's up to them. So yeah, they don't like me interfering in their relationship. Even though I'm their daughter, if I say anything, they a lot of the time they go the opposite way. And they wonder where I get that from. My dad will be like, oh, when you were a kid, we used to tell you stuff and you used to go your own way. And I'm thinking, yeah, I wonder where I got that from. Because if I say anything to them, they go their own way. They're like, we're not doing that because I said, you know, if I mention it, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, where did I get that trait from? I wonder, my parents, because they're like that with me. Even now, it's very hard. Even if I say something in their best, meaning the best that I think's in their best interest, is like, because obviously it'd be extra money for them because they struggle sometimes. They do own their own home, which is great, but you know, it's very expensive food and stuff. And I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, it could really help them out. I've noticed the councils are making disabled badge holders pay to park in car parks. Oh my God. Well, my dad's got a blue badge, so I don't know if it affects him, but literally, I mean, he couldn't walk or anything like without, you know, he couldn't go far without his car. So I don't know if that would apply to them. I know he's got a blue badge. So yeah, I know he used to have to pay for parking at the hospital because my mum has to go to the hospital because my mum's got ill health, even though she cares for my dad. She's constantly going to the hospital every year because she's got a rare eye condition that affects her kidneys. And she's got diabetes, type 2. So she's always backwards and forwards to the hospital every year as well. My dad has to plug his oxygen tank into the wall while he's in the hospital waiting for my mum. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of hard for them both, but they don't want my help. They don't want me. They like want to be left alone. So do you know what I mean? There was a neighbour who phoned up and they're like, oh, Sandra should be helping you. It's like, have you told that you know, well, they used to be neighbours. They live a little bit further away now. But like, have you told them you don't actually want my help? I'm like, no, you didn't tell them that, did you? Do you know what I mean? They're not interested. They see me as interfering rather than helping. So like, no, we don't need it. Go away type thing. So they're very different people to me. Do you know what I mean? So they don't even like, my mum got offered some throat sweets once in the hospital and she wouldn't even take them from a woman. She's like, no, even my mum was coughing a lot. Do you know what I mean? They see help as interfering sometimes. It's not the way I think, but you know, each to their own, isn't it? I love my parents implicitly. We just have to accept we're very different people. You know, to have any type of like family relationship, we just have to accept that we're different people and opposite a lot of the time. So you know what I mean, it's just best to be honest with each other in that respect. So yeah, but also I don't think they told that person who was a neighbour of theirs, it's not exactly a neighbour anymore, they live far away now. They used to be their neighbour, so but they don't live in the same town as them anymore for a number of years. But it's because I always used to see them when I was a kid. My mum stayed friends with this person for years, like a lot of years. She's 96 now as well. So yeah, but you know, my parents are very different to me. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. My mind's getting a bit like, oh, I need a break soon because I've been streaming now for over 2 hours. I'm having water. But yeah, so it's kind of like we're different people, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, did you tell the neighbour or ex-neighbour now that I've actually got disabilities myself? So it takes me all my time just to look after myself. That's why I don't usually care for anyone anyway, because I just not even up to looking after myself a lot of the time. Like, I did a vlog you'll see on this channel with washing piled up because I injured my arm trying to do some exercise to keep my spine strong from my spinal injury and osteopenia. You know, just trying to strengthen my bones because I've got osteopenia. And no, I haven't got any of the markers for osteopenia. I'm under 50. Don't have like, I don't have anything to do with menopause. Like, I haven't been through menopause yet. I still have regular periods and all that lot. My vitamin D and C, calcium were fine, and I don't have a history of osteopenia or osteoporosis, and I could go along the list, like, so I've got none of the markers for osteopenia, but I do have it. So I've been trying to like strengthen my muscles to strengthen the bones and stuff, but it backfires because I've got fibromyalgia, so it just causes me a lot of problems. Because fibromyalgia is a chronic pain condition that affects the nerves and muscles of the body. The more I exercise, the more it causes my fibro to flare. But because I got 3 broken bones in my spine that I've healed a lot from, but they don't heal back in the right shape. So I've always got a weakness there, and I need to keep my spine strong. Otherwise, my back starts stabbing and hurting again, or feels very bad. So it's hard. It's really tough. Steve, we went away to Devon. Oh, you are in the UK. I thought you might be in the UK. We went away to Devon a couple of weeks ago, and the machines in car park said disabled to pay, but the machines on the side of the road said disabled exempt if displaying a badge. Yeah, that's what my dad does. On the side of the road, that he has a disabled exemption badge. Because so if he comes to my dad can't get up the stairs here to my flat, so he can't ever visit my flat. But for example, at Christmas, he'll drop me home, or if I go to visit them, I'll go on the train, but he'll drop me home usually with my mum. My dad has oxygen tank in the car, so he'll have a, if he has to wait for me. So say at Christmas, I have to bring loads of stuff over because all my disabilities, I have to bring presents and that. So I have to go in and up and down the stairs in the block of flats I live in. I live on the top floor, which isn't good. There's no lift. That's why I can't even go down. I got in too much pain to even go downstairs sometimes. And my dad will put his badge on then because, outside he'll have to have his badge because there's a warden that comes round. Steve, my wife has fibromyalgia, but because she works, can't get a disabled badge. Oh, God. I used to work for as long as I could with it. It is terrible. It's really hard. I mean, at the time when I worked, there was someone who was at doctor's surgery specialised in fibromyalgia. And she said it's really good you work because most people can't. And it's good you're still doing that because it gets you out of the house. But the last job I had, which was 2021, I think, when I left that job, it made my disabilities worse. I got fibromyalgia and my anxiety worse. It really made my disabilities so much worse and much more painful. And I haven't been able to work for an employer ever since. I mean, when I went in that job, I was unemployed for quite a while since being made redundant in 2017. Then I went back to work for an employer in 2020 who I'd previously worked from before, and then but it was different management and stuff, and then I wasn't really fully up to the job in the physical sense because there was a lot of cleaning involved, and it took me ages just to do one little bit, like 2 hours, where another person did it in 10 minutes, like an area. So it wasn't good. And it's because I was under the job centre where I had to look for work then, but I'm under limited capability for work and work related activity now, and I'm self-employed writer. I just don't earn much money from it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm on Universal Credit Limited capability for work and work related activity in the lowest part of PIP. So that's what I've got at the moment, although I lost my PIP for 5 months last year, which was horrible for me because I rely on my PIP. You know what I mean? Every month, usually my PIP's gone most of the time. So yeah, and I have a lot of food allergies and intolerances. So, my rent's much more expensive here. So it's awful that she has to still work. I worked for as long as I could, but it's really bad because like bending up and down really hurts. Like to try and do the exercise I do now is really painful a lot of the time. It hurts and it's hard because I have to do exercise like now to keep my spine strong as much as possible, because if I don't, I'll start really hurting my spine because I broke 3 bones in 2024. But the exercise makes the pain worse. And last week I literally damaged this arm, and I was in massive fibro flare for like days. It's only in the last 24 hours I've been able to do some exercise properly again. Do you know what I mean? But that's because it was a good day. But for days I've just been sat watching movies, not doing much, but watching movies to like reduce my stress, because movies reduce my stress levels and anxiety, which calms my body flare down in the mental and emotional way. And then the physical, I was with ice packs on my arms and my backs. My shoulders were hurting a lot as well. I've got a bruise on my arm. Do you see what I mean? I think that might have been because this arm was really hurting because I exercised it and I over-exercised. And you know, so if I do any exercise, I just set myself back again a lot of the time. I've got to be so careful. And I just overdid it. It was just too much. And I felt my veins like popping out, and I got pain all down my arm. I had going into my palm, and it was really bad. I had to have ice packs. It took me days to get better. But yeah, I noticed a bruise, and I don't know if that's because of where I was like hurting on the arm. I'm not sure if it's blood under the skin from where the veins were popping or something. But it's only come up since then. But at the time I didn't see it. So, but I did see the veins stuck up. So it's really, I've got see-through skin as it is anyway. But these veins were more protruding. I was right pounding really bad. But I'm so sorry to hear about your wife. It's awful. Steve, she does get very tired after work. I can imagine because I get energy drained. I mean, it's like, because it's having chronic pain condition. It like the pain drains your energy, and then if you try and work on top, it's really bad. Like, I'm self-employed, but I've got loads of books that aren't even finished because, like, you know what I mean, my life goes up and down, and it's like it's hard to do anything. Like, when I do something, it takes me so much effort that's like the main thing of that day. Do you know what I mean? It's really tough, and it just, people just don't understand it. Yeah, I was just reading your comment now where you said people don't seem to understand fibromyalgia. I just said it and then saw that comment, you know. Steve, yes, if she gets a flare, she can be off work for months. Yeah, people don't understand this, because so a lot of people are like, oh, you're disabled, get a job. It's like, well, most people don't even want to employ you once they know you've got fibromyalgia, and you have to be honest about it. I mean, I can't work for an employer anymore, but even when I could, I was on benefits for quite a long time after being made redundant for years, because I couldn't just get a job easily, because I've got anxiety as well. I go to the toilet loads, like every hour. Sometimes it's every quarter of an hour if I've got a real anxiety flare. Do you know what I mean? I get irritable bowel syndrome as well. I've got CPTSD now, as well as osteopenia on top of these other things, and my spinal injury and stuff. So it's just really, really difficult, you know. And it's like, what takes someone just a few minutes to do, take me hours to do. It's just like, it's like you live your life in slow motion, but it's fast to you, but it's like slow to everyone else. Do you know what I mean? It's really difficult. Steve, I imagine you have a lot of frustrations with people not understanding. My wife says it feels like people think she's making it up. Yeah, it's really difficult. I try and do vlogs, like video, you know, short videos daily of my life. And I do some videos about my disabilities. Like, you'll see me doing weightlifting, but that's like a really good short, like 15-second bit of weightlifting. But I've had to, like, I only use a 3 kilogram set because I've been told not to use anymore. And even my physio at the doctor's surgery, when I see her, even that she thinks it's too heavy for me sometimes. But I've managed to get my muscles like quite big just from a 3 kilogram set, but it hurts, you know, because I've always got pain. I've got pain like even now. And then I did some exercise today, so I can feel it tighter and more sore. So I have a fibromyalgia pain all the time. Then I have extra pain from the exercise on top of it. It's like when I went to sleep this last night, I don't go to sleep at night. I go to sleep in the middle of the night or morning, because I actually sleep in the day usually and wake up at night. And so it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like I actually slept for a lot of hours. I think I slept till it's gone 3 o'clock. I was thinking it was more like 4 something. I think I slept for 12 hours again or more, because it's like I was so exhausted, you know. And I actually hurt this finger last night. I was really peed off with myself because this finger still hurts, because I had an accident at Chessington for my birthday on a ride, which wasn't my fault. And this finger is still having problems when I'm like doing stuff like that with it. It hurts a lot. But last night I injured this finger which was my own fault, not anyone else's, at home. And I, by accident, smacked it on a cupboard. And because I got fibromyalgia, it makes you sensitive to pain. Oh my God, this finger was absolutely killing me. And I use this hand for like writing, doing the computer, cleaning my teeth. And so I couldn't clean my teeth. I had to try and use my left hand, which with that paining me last night. I had to try and use my left hand for a lot of stuff last night. And so I had to put loads of cold water on this. Then I had to go to bed with an ice pack on this after I put like Germany all over it to try and take the pain away. And it was all red, and it was I thought I put loads of water on it. I thought this is fine. I held a mug or something. I'm like, ow. ow, it really hurts. I'm like, you've got to put it under cold water for longer. So I actually clean my teeth with my left hand. I have to be careful of this finger. And I couldn't do a floss because I just wasn't able to do that because I need both hands for that. And I had to go to bed with this finger in an ice pack wrapped in a tea towel after I put Germany on it to try and take some of the pain away. It was just like on top of all the other pain I have in my body. And it was just like, I felt quite angry at that point. I was getting really critical of myself and angry with myself. And it's like, just go to bed, Sandra. Just sleep and sleep it off and go with the ice pack and just try and get better, because there's no use of being angry with yourself and frustrated because it's not your fault. You didn't know you were going to do that. You did it by accident. And I was just not feeling good. I'm like, why am I feeling so angry with myself? Do you know what I mean? But it can get very frustrating. But yeah, it's because it's an unseen disability. It's hard for people to comprehend what it's like. But I try to do some short videos on here with what life's really like, because people don't see it. Like, I got a pile of washing in my bathroom at the moment because I took some out of the washing basket to put in the washer dryer, but I injured my arm so badly from doing exercise, because I can't do exercise reliably, consistently and safely, that I ended up not being able to, have use of my arm as much. I had to be very careful what I did with it, this arm. And so, like, to put it back in the laundry basket again with other stuff, I just thought, no, keep it all out. And I got a pile of it now piled up because I haven't been able to do much over the last few days. So yeah, Steve, I can't sleep in this hot weather. Yeah, I mean, with fibromyalgia, I don't know what it's like for your wife sleeping. With fibromyalgia, for me, I have a double bed all to myself because I have a lot of pain points. So I can't even usually have someone sleeping in the same bed as me. It's really difficult. Like, even if I love them in a relationship, it's very hard. I can't usually sleep in front of someone because I get self-conscious. And also I get loads of pain points. And even if a guy is laid in bed with me near my pain points, I can kind of feel him. And I just feel like going, like that. And that's like, you know what I mean? So if a guy ever does, like, in a relationship, if a guy shared a bed, not having sex or with me clothed, like, he's got like a little space and I've got like the majority of the bed. But last time I did that was when I was in a relationship, short-term relationship. Didn't mean it to be like that, but that was a guy who was dishonest. It valued dishonesty in 2024. So he used to stay over mine sometimes because he didn't live near me, he lived in London. And so I did share a bed with him. But I had clothes on, a pajama, like bottoms and a night shirt on, and he would have less of the bed because I did but I only got about 2 hours sleep like that because I can't usually sleep. And also I usually go to sleep at 4 a.m. or later and wake up at midday or later, depending on how I feel. So I don't usually sleep normal times anyway. So it just becomes problematic. That's why it's better. I ideally would like to have a relationship with a guy who lived near me, but not with me, where he could go back to his own home very easily. And I could go back to mine, but we could still spend time with each other and be there very close to each other. Do you know what I mean? Steve, we sleep in the same bed, but she twitches a lot. And it sometimes wakes me up. Oh, bless her. Yeah, with fibromyalgia, people don't realise it does make your body have involuntary movements. I've had involuntary movements. Like, I think they've woken me up before. But it also, like, makes your hands very numb sometimes. And it, like, I've had numb hands before from it and stuff like that. It's really weird. And sometimes you can get I wrote a book on fibromyalgia, by the way. I should have said that. I didn't tell you that, did I? Fibromyalgia self-help handbook. This is on Amazon. I forgot all about this. It does sell well to this day, actually. This is called How to Manage Fibromyalgia, Have Less Pain, More Energy, Feel Happy Like a Superhero Rock Star. And this is like my autobiographical account of how I manage fibromyalgia, and other people can too. It tells you how to reduce pain in up to 25 aspects of your life. But people who haven't even got fibro can still get this book, because a lot of it applies to people even without fibro. Yeah, so that's me in my Ace Fibro Girl superhero outfit. I'm in a restaurant there eating. This is a long time ago, this picture. But yeah, I do sell, I sold a copy of this week, actually. But yeah, it's told in a superhero style way. So it's very unconventional, very non-traditional, very different way of managing fibromyalgia. It's got like all my breakdown of how I manage it, but it's told in a really fun superhero style way, because the way I manage my life is a bit like a superhero. So yeah, I did the cover as well. So this is on Amazon. I publish it under my own book publishing imprint, Quirky Books, so you can order it in bookshops. You should be able to as well, but Wow, how many books you have written? Yeah, so this is my fibromyalgia book. And then this is my Asexual Perspectives book. 47 Asexual Stories book. And then this is my Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual book. These are all in print. I do have some other books that aren't in print as well. But these are all my print books. And these, I've got... these are the 2 asexual books I have out. I have got other asexual books I need to get finished, but I haven't finished them yet. But yeah, these 2 are my asexual books. These are both bestsellers. That's an international bestseller. This is like a UK bestseller. So, but this does sell well in America as well. But it's just like this hit both the UK and American top 100 books chart, whereas this one did the UK. It might have got to the US chart as well, but I just didn't realize it at the time. But yeah, so yeah, my fibromyalgia book I like because it's autobiographical and self-help. I like superheroes, so yeah. But it's like basically a personal development book in disguise, this one as well. It's really good. But yeah, I've sold a couple of my Asexual Perspectives book recently, one of these recently. I was in a fibromyalgia group though, and the people in the has the fibromyalgia book been popular? Well, last year, in one day, I sold 18 copies of it. It's crazy. It's the biggest amount I've sold in a day. That particular day, I sold 1 asexual book and 18 fibromyalgia books. I did a shorts video, I think, on here about that. I think it was October last year. I was like gobsmacked. I think people must have had a book club or something and been studying the book. Because it's like, I kept looking at it thinking, is that real? Was someone made a mistake? Has Amazon made a mistake? And then when I got the paid for it, I'm like, no, they didn't make a mistake, Sandra. Someone or I don't know if it's one person or what, but I guess it was I guessed it was probably one person bought 18 copies of it. So yeah. So yeah, it is popular for people who are looking for different alternative solutions to fibromyalgia because it's non-conventional, non-traditional. I don't pretend to cure fibromyalgia. I don't do that at all. It's just to manage it more effectively. I do have quite a lot of energy for someone with fibromyalgia, if you might know when I talk. So my body is not fully energized, but internally I have some energy, if you know what I mean. But yeah, but like I did sleep for a lot of hours earlier because I was pretty exhausted. So it does fluctuate up and down. But I have an inner energy that's good, if you know what I mean. So yeah, and I talk about the foods to eat and not to eat with fibromyalgia and what to drink and not to drink and stuff like that. So I was talking in a fibromyalgia group on Facebook and someone was saying they get really tired after eating and they don't understand it. They got fibromyalgia and people were responding saying, well, eating takes energy and so there you get more tired, which is true, it does because of digestion, but it's not just as simple as that. There's certain foods that literally cause more pain and drain the energy. And I talk about those in this book that's best to avoid. Although some people won't do it because they like the foods too much. I happen to be allergic to quite a lot of the foods that fibro people should avoid. Luckily for me, I'm actually allergic to them, so I don't have them, but I'm very disciplined. Yeah, tell your wife about my book. Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, it's called. You can't really miss the cover. Sandra Bellamy's my name. Or Ace Fibro Girl. But yeah, Sandra Bellamy, Ace Fibro Girl. It's on Amazon. So yeah, it's if you type in Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook to Amazon, it will come up. Should do anyway. But yeah, how to manage fibromyalgia. Let's pay more energy, feel happy like a superhero rock star. Yay. Yeah, it's very... Oh, you've written it down. Oh, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, when I was in this group, I told them about my book, and I think someone got a copy of it, because it looks like it was around the same date I told them. But yeah, I was quite surprised at 18 copies in one day. I'm like, they must have, had a book club or something with it in. But yeah, it's surprising. I do sell a number of copies. This is my my Asexual Perspectives book. That tends to be my bestseller, but that's because I've had it out longer as well, because I published this in 2017. And then this one, 2019, I believe I published this. So yeah, so that's my second bestseller. And then the Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual comes after that. The reason is because there's more non-romantic asexuals than romantic asexuals. So a lot of the time, this is like a niche within a niche. It's aimed more at romantic asexuals, if you know I'm in dating and relationships. It doesn't have to be people who are asexual that gets this. It's very interesting for people who are looking to date, In the modern world, I literally break down and dissect text messages from guys in this, what they say and what they mean. It's very interesting. Well, a particular guy. And it's, again, autobiographical, this book as well. So, but the Asexual Perspectives one is like, that's my top seller because I've, you know, it's a very thick book and I've had it out the longest. And some other asexual books on the market have kind of like, how can I put it? They've kind of like adopted the idea of asexual stories, real life asexual stories into their own books. And there's another book with a very similar title to this. Do you know what I mean? How did you start writing books? So I'm an author and I publish under my own book publishing imprint, Quirky Books. I'm a registered publisher under that imprint since 2017. So by law in the UK, I have to send a book to the British Library every time, the printed copy, every time I publish a printed copy with my own ISBN. And I usually have to send it to 5 other libraries if they request it as well. There's like one in Ireland, one in Scotland, the London one I said already, because I have to send it to London. There's 5 others, Scotland, Ireland, Oxford Library, University Library, I think it is, and 2 other places. So anyway, how did I get into it? So I've always like had a gift for writing. So when I was a kid at school, primary school, I used to have a gift for storytelling. I used to get told, my parents used to get told that Sandra's like writes really good stories. And I just, I'm born to be a writer, you know, it's in my soul. And so, I used to want to be a professional radio presenter. So I did hospital radio for years when I was at school. Well, I'd left school and went to college, but while I was at school, I was like 16 years old when I started like work experience at radio as well. Was I 15 when I had a work experience at a radio station? But then I did hospital radio after I left like school and went to college. And then I thought I wanted to be like a professional radio presenter for years, but I also had writing that I liked doing as well. And I did a writing for children's course with Cornerstones. It was a picture book course in London. I paid. And then I also decided to do a writing course with the Writers Bureau. And I started that years ago. And I haven't finished that course. Actually, technically, I'm still a student of that course because it's an online course. It's ongoing. And I started doing it, the picture books. And I used to write, like I started writing a novel, a fiction novel, but I realised that it was making me depressed. And it wasn't very good for my mental health. And then when I was made redundant in 2009, I discovered then that my life purpose was to write, like I was born to write, and that although I loved radio presenting, I preferred the written word more. I felt the power of the written word. And so I wrote an article for a magazine that got featured in it. And I wrote for... I was a member of the Freelance Writers Association at that point through the Writers Bureau. They had like, that was like a subsidiary thing they did. And I got a star letter published, which I got paid like £10 from. And so as soon as you get paid for your writing, you're technically a professional writer as soon as you get paid. And I was so excited to get this star letter in there. And I was so excited to get this article in a professional local magazine that I'm just like, oh, I just know I'm born to write. But because of the fiction, I was just I'm a very methodical, what's it, like, you know, like a method actor. I'm like a method writer and I get into the head of the characters. I still know to this day what that novel was about, but it was a very traumatic, and I get so into the head of the characters that I was feeling so depressed and sad and traumatized by these characters because I'm actually in their like heads. And it was kind of crazy, though, it was in a good way, because I realized in those moments that I was told what the characters were doing, what they said next, what jobs they had. It was like, I never understood until that point, like when writers say, oh, the character spoke to me, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, well, how the hell can a character speak to you? Don't be so ridiculous. But then when I experienced that for myself, and when I was writing this novel, even though I stopped writing the novel because it was too traumatic and it was making me depressed and ill, but while I was doing that, the characters started speaking to me, and I was just like, what happens next? And they were just telling me, like, this is what I do, this is the job I have, this is what's happening next, this is what's you know what I mean? It was like they were talking to me. And it was like they were taking on a life of their own. And then I realised that I have a gift for writing. And when I was redundant, I realised it wasn't like radio presenting I was meant to do. It's like I was more interested in the powerful written word. So in 2015, I was actually at that point, besides working in a job, an employed job, I was 2015. I became self-employed in 2013. And then I finished writing my book, redundancy book, in 2015 and published that. So I used to help redundant workers get back into work in the UK. That was like my primary objective outside my main day job, if you like. And I used to teach social media as well. And then, you know what I mean? I realized that I had a gift for that. And so then I decided no longer would I pursue a fiction writing apart from kids books, which I still love to do, which is why the Writers Bureau, I did some of my coursework for the Writing for Children course, and I got really good kind of feedback from that. I got picture books that they said like were good, but they said that I tried to send them to some traditional publishers, but they said because it's in rhyme, it's hard to sell the foreign rights, and I got declined from them. And then while I was redundant and discovered that I was born to write, that was my life purpose, my first book I ever released was in 2015, was about redundancy. It's called Breakthrough the Barriers of Redundancy to Get Back into Work, an A to Z how-to guide, because I've been in management roles for years and I've also been made redundant. So I was able to look at both the redundancy side and the management side and help people their cover letters and CVs as templates in there. Even to this day, that book's still on Amazon in digital format, in Kindle format. It's still relevant to this day. Anyone can just do that and just get it and go and apply for jobs. I was very good at getting jobs. Very good at getting jobs. Like very good at getting interviews for jobs, particularly more than getting the jobs. But it's like I got there was 500 people applied for one job and I got it, but in the end I didn't want it because it wasn't good. The manager at the time put me and another woman against each other for the same role, and I didn't know they were doing that. It's very underhanded. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got into writing, because I just knew when I was redundant in 2009, like I started the Writing for Children's course in 2008. So I kind of like was doing that, and then I realized that I really love writing for kids' picture books, but also I decided to stop doing the novel and then just change it to non-fiction. I started my personal professional development journey in 2012. That's when I entered the entrepreneur space, and then I started writing non-fiction, you know, having the ideas for non-fiction. But my redundancy book took me over a year to write, and that's the first one I put out. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into writing. But I've always had it in my soul. But now I die in my soul if I don't do any writing. It's like, it's not just to make money for me. It's like I have to write because I've got loads of books in me. But with me, I can't get the ideas out quick enough. I keep getting different ideas for different books and keep starting different books. And I haven't finished some for quite a long time. And then life gets in the way and I end up going and doing other things. With disabilities, it's really hard because I'm very slow at reading. I'm good at doing the writing, but I actually don't like reading very much. It's very different for a writer, because the reason I don't like reading very much is because I'm very slow at it and tend to repeat things over and again. But my books, a lot of the time, I try and put them as short, snappy chapters, so that when I read them back to myself, and if I have any people, for example, on the autistic spectrum read my books, they like the fact that the chapters are very short and snappy, so they're easy to digest. I'm not autistic myself, but because of my generalized anxiety disorder, my fibromyalgia, and I have CPTSD, they all slow down cognitive processing in real time, which makes things harder to process, you know, like processing things. I've had anxiety since before I was born, but I was only diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder since 2012. Yeah. So, is it 2012? No, 2010. 2012 was when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. 2010. I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder a couple of years before fibromyalgia. Yeah. One of my sons has a university degree in creative writing, but couldn't find a job for it. Well, I publish on Amazon. You know, I don't have a degree. I have A-level English literature and media studies, but I don't have a degree, because I just know that I have a gift and I believe in myself. And, you know, you can like sometimes enter competitions and things like that to get published and stuff. But it's like I write my own press releases as well. Like I did it before Christmas because I won a speaking award, and I wrote my own press release for the first time. I got guidance on how to do it from the award place I won the award at, the company I won the award with, organisation I won the award with, should I say. And I also looked up on the internet how to do it. And my press release, I thought, this is before Christmas last year, and I thought, oh, I haven't got in there because I met. And then since then I found out 4 publications I've been in the UK just from the one press release I sent. But I didn't realise till after. Well, I didn't realise 2 of them till February, and 2 of them till more recently, in like the last month. That I'm in loads of them. So I was in the Express and Echo, actually the physical paper as well, because I've seen it online now. I saw the physical copy online, because you can buy a physical copy if you want. Deutsche Gazette, Mid Devon Advertiser, and Timoth Post. So I got to be in all 4, and that was from writing a press release, just me doing it myself for the first time ever. I'm like, wow, Sandra. So I clearly have a gift, but I know I have a gift, and it's like, I know I was put on this earth first and foremost to write and to get as many books as I can out to leave my lasting legacy, but followed very closely by helping asexuals. They're like my life purposes. Writing's just slightly above helping asexuals, because that came first before anything. I die in my soul if I don't write, but it's very, very close with asexuality. Like, I couldn't not do this channel. I have to do this channel no matter what, you know what I mean? I'm not monetized on this channel. I've been helping asexuals for over 10 years on it. He has O levels as well, but in these times, everyone uses AI, and that's probably why he couldn't find a writing job. Yeah, AI is so bad that it can. I mean, I like AI, but AI is so bad when people are using it like just to like reel off a load of stuff. But I actually am writing how to date an AI bot, build relationships with AI companions confidently and safely. That's one of the books I'm writing. I'm 2/3 of the way through probably that now, but I stopped for a bit. But it's like, oh, no, it's A levels, not O levels. All right. But you did say originally, didn't you? Oh, yeah, he has O levels, you said, didn't you, in your message? But it's A levels. Right, that makes sense. But yeah, like, I don't use AI for my books. Like, it's my own authentic voice. Where in my AI book, I'm interviewing AI in the book. But my actual books are my own books, because they're my own stories. They're personal stories to me, my personal life. Like, I'm always sharing my personal life on this channel. And no one can replace your own personal experience. So I write non-fiction now. I've still got my children's picture books I've never published, but all my books are non-fiction. They're out, long form content. I've got some journals out as well, but very low, like pretty much no content and just lines and cover. But yeah, so I write like from the heart, my own personal life, and no AI can ever replace that, And so, I write from my own personal experience, and yeah, he wanted to write for magazines and write reports, but couldn't find anything. I think there still are magazines and stuff, but I think it's very hard to get into. Yeah, I mean, I haven't done that. I know years ago I bought a course, and they used to send information about everywhere that accepts people for writing in magazines and writing, specifically magazines. I mean, the Writers Bureau, when I used to be them, they used to produce a magazine that used to call Freelance Market News, but this was more like a thin magazine, and they used to say everywhere that wanted opportunities, but then they stopped doing it. But I think there are, like specific writing jobs still sometimes. But I don't in general write for anyone else. Like, I don't have any paid writing gigs from anyone. Like, I just write my own books and put them on Amazon, which I think is the best thing to do, because then I have complete autonomy over my content, over what I produce, over what I say, over what I do. And I like that agency, So if he's into creative writing, he could get started on Amazon, I have a Make Money, Make Cash channel, which is my second most popular channel to this, but it's got a very low amount of subscribers, not even got 500 yet, but it's have over 500,000 views on there, nearly 600,000 views, and that does have some videos on Amazon KDP on my Make Money, Make Cash channel. If you look down my channel, like other channel, on my channel homepage, it has other channels. Make Money, Make Cash is one of the ones I do. I teach people how to sell stuff online just to make spare cash, selling pre-loved items, for example, on Facebook Marketplace Vinted. But I have done some videos about eBay and also some videos about Amazon KDP if he's interested in looking at that. So he actually found a job in sales, so at least he's earning. Yeah, I used to work in retail sales for years. Not cold calling, but actually in retail, if you know what I mean. But I worked in retail management for years, but it's an easier type of thing to get into than some other creative pursuits. But yeah, but he could always write books on the side, if you know what I mean. Self-employed. I started my self-employment when I was in 2013, because I used to work for the NHS on top of my employee job. So at one point I was working full-time in a retail job. Then I was working for the NHS, teaching blogging and Facebook and Twitter, social media for the recovery of mental ill health. I used to work for a recovery learning community and do training and teaching. And I was, and so I was self-employed through that in 2013. And then I published my first book in 2015. But I always put down in my self-employment that I do online services, teaching, coaching, and also writing. So that's technical online services is what I class myself as. So yeah, I do a bit of coaching as well, but not very often because my main thing's writing. I love writing. But yeah, but he could, if he wants to like make some extra money and get into publishing, which is quite, he could also do that on top of his day job. That's what I'm saying. But he'd have to register as self-employed then. I mean, I've been self-employed for a long time. It's hard to make money at it, to be honest. But if you just love writing and you want to make a bit of extra money, then go for it. The things change now as well. You can earn up to £1,000 in self-employment and not get it taxed, is my understanding, because the law's changed since I became self-employed. I do interest bearing, which is the old system. But for newer people, I think you can earn up to £1,000 tax-free, just up to 1,000. And then you still have to register as self-employed, as I know, but you can do self-employment income expenses for the year, with HMRC once a year. But I think you get £1,000 tax-free, is my understanding, of tax-free allowance. Yeah, if you do like the modern way of accounting. I do traditional accounting, so it doesn't apply to me. So yeah, but he might want to do that as well. That's all I'm thinking, if he's got creative urge. But I can't live without writing. Like, I have to be doing some writing because it's just who I am, and my soul literally dies inside. I get really ill if I don't write. Writing's like therapy for me, as well as my profession. But I'm really proud that in 2017, that's when I became a registered publisher under Quirky Books. My first ever blog is quirkybooks.wordpress.com. That was the first ever blog I did, way before I helped asexuals. So my blog I've had since 2010. And that's how I found my writer's voice as well. So you're asking me about how did writing come about. I started a blog for writers back then to find my own writing voice and to help other writers write better. Steve, it's crazy how when I scrolled and came across your channel, I thought, what on earth is this woman on about? But found you interesting, and you have similar things like the writing and fibromyalgia. Yeah, Steve. What is women talking about? That's funny. I'm glad you were honest about that. Thank you. Yeah, so I do a lot of life vlogs on here, which have got nothing to do directly with asexuality, but I show my asexual life in real life context, because people think like asexuals have a really boring life without sex, and it's totally untrue. And people seem to think there's some weird thing about asexuals and just abnormal. It's like, well, no, actually, I am relatable. I still do, my life is still very similar to other people in other ways. Do you know what I mean? And usually people can relate to me in some way, shape or form. And I just try to like normalize asexuality by showing my asexual life daily. I do daily vlogs. I haven't done a live stream like this for quite a long time because I've had a lot of illness this year, to be honest, on top of my fibromyalgia and everything else. So for February and March, I was, since 16th of February, March, and then to quite a lot of April, I was very, very poorly with different illnesses, like with hardly a break in between. So that was hard. So now I'm kind of like dealing with a backlog of stuff and legal stuff, and but I'm like, I really want to start doing more live streams again, at least once a week if I can, because I used to do more live streams and less vlogs, but now I do more vlogs because the actual channel grows more with short vlogs, because everyone's wanting short things because of attention spans. But it's really good when we can sit down and have like conversations like this, because it brings people together, people from all walks of life, and it just is very good for like a connection point of view, like connecting with people all over the world and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's good. And I like to help people as much as I can. You've never heard of Asexual before tonight? Oh, it's very interesting. So there are some I was going to say there are some people with fibromyalgia who can't actually have sex because of disability, which is different to being asexual. But I'm in fibromyalgia groups, and I see a lot of people who've got fibromyalgia where their partners, like including their husbands, leave them because they become, become disabled with fibromyalgia during the relationship. So I do actually point out in my fibromyalgia self-help handbook that about the sexual orientation, asexuality, and there might be some people with fibromyalgia who are suitable for a relationship with an asexual person, who doesn't need sex if their fibromyalgia stops them having sex, for example. Although they're not the same thing, it depends on the mentality of the person. If a person who's got fibromyalgia really, really wants sex and they get frustrated not having it, that's not going to be exactly compatible with an asexual person who's really happy and jolly about not having sex. You know what I mean? They could very, the frustrated sexual person who just can't have sex because of fibromyalgia might find that very hurtful in some way. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily work out as compatible, but I just brought it up in the fibromyalgia book in a chapter very shortly, briefly, to just let them know there are people who can live without sex, and it may be that if you're a person who can't have sex because you're fibromyalgia, that you might, find some asexual person for a relationship with you who's suitable, that can live without sex and be happy with you. Do you know what I mean? There's something else I don't understand, like what's with all these people with short attention spans and can't watch long videos. Yeah, I do watch long videos. I watch short videos and I watch long videos as well. I watch Diary of a CEO, and nearly all of those are like often way over an hour, often an hour and a half or more. Sometimes I have to like go and do other things and then come back to the rest of it, because sometimes it's a lot of information to take in. Oh, your wife is still okay with sex, luckily. That's really good. I'm really happy for you. That's really good, because I know it can be very painful for some people with fibromyalgia. And I'm in fibromyalgia groups on Facebook, a lot more women with fibro than men in them. And I have seen some women, they're like, oh, he's just left me. I've been married to him for years and he's gone because I can't have sex. It's just too painful for me, and he's left. So, oh, you watch Stephen, do you, as well, from Diary of a CEO? Yeah, I watch him. I watch some dating and relationship stuff. Obviously, I'm in Matthew Hussey's Love Life Coaching Club, which I pay for privately. And his coaching sessions go on for an hour and a half or longer usually. And there's usually at least 3 weeks out of 4 every month that there's coaching in there. And so, and he's got courses, most of which are over an hour, and other stuff in his coaching, club. So, Love Life Club, which is a coaching club, basically. It's life coaching, relationship coaching. He does the 3 relationships: with life, with others, and with yourself. That's basically what he covers. So you watch Stephen Hussey, are you talking about? Oh no, you were talking about Stephen from Diary of a CEO, sorry. I then started talking about Love Life Club and I confused myself. Yeah, you watch Stephen from because Matthew's brother's called Stephen. Oh, I saw your comment and read it out again. I'm like, I've just read this comment. It's because I'm getting a bit delirious with like talking for so long, I think. So yeah, but yeah, so Diary of a CEO is I like that, and I watch some other people's podcasts sometimes. I watched one the other day that was a relationships one with Forrest Hanson. I don't know if you've seen his channel. I can't remember what his channel's called now. I just remember him. And Rick Hanson is his uncle, who's like a psychologist, I think he is, or something like that. So they kind of work together. They have a podcast. I've been featured on quite a number of podcasts myself, so I'm used to being interviewed for a long time as well. But yeah, most of my live streams are an hour plus. If I do long live streams, unless I'm out, then they're shorter. So yeah, I think it's good to like have things in common with people. Like I've kind of shown you that asexuality is like, it's just like, what, I don't have sex. It's like not. Do you know what I mean? And I'm quite unique in the sense I don't, need to live together. But some asexuals, they like living with someone. Some asexuals don't like. They're similar to me. But in this Asexual Perspectives book, I asked asexuals what they thought of love, life, sex, including BDSM, kinks, pornography, masturbation. Asked the asexuals what's the difference between sexual attraction, arousal, sexual desire. It's quite eye-opening. What do you think of living together? What do you think of marriage? What do you think of kids? And this is like all the questions I used to get asked when I first helped asexuals. all the answers I put in this book, basically. So yeah, because people just think you're abnormal if you're not interested in sex. It's like, well, no, it's just like, I'm just not interested in it. It's like, otherwise, you know what I mean? Steve, my son has an A-level in psychology as well, and I think he should have got his degree in that. Oh, yes, psychology is very, very interesting. I haven't actually studied psychology, but I've done a lot of courses that incorporate psychology, and I follow a lot like Brendan Burchard. Do you follow him at all? I've seen him live. I've got some of his programs. Andy Harrington, he's a business guy. I've got some of his stuff. I'm going to see him in person, and that's more of a marketing business thing. Whereas Brendan Burchard, he's like a life coach. Tony Robbins, I've seen him live on stage. He changed my life for the better. So again, life coach, but they do a lot of psychology. Psychology can be used for good or bad. It's hard because I can't do dark psychology, you know, and you don't follow any of that. Yeah. So I think psychology is good to know, but I haven't actually studied psychology. I have got a diploma in information advice and guidance, so I'm a fully qualified advisor. I did a diploma in it. I've got a PA diploma as well, personal assistance, high administrative procedures diploma as well. I've got a teacher training qualification, although technically you're meant to renew that, which I haven't done because I don't actually teach for the NHS anymore. I got a basic counselling skills qualification, only the basic one, not a full counselling skills. I didn't want to progress with that anymore. I just wanted to do the basic one. And then I got a certification in life coaching. That was a weekend I did. So yeah, but actually the advisor one is a full diploma, so it's a personal assistance course. So yeah, that's kind of like my actual credentials, if you like, but I've done quite a lot of courses which incorporate psychology and things. But Love Life Club, I learned a lot, about attachment styles, compatibility versus attraction in relationships, intention versus attraction, different stages of relationships, all that type of stuff. Steve, I'm just a plumber. My son has more brains. But did you see what the guy said about AI when he was on Diary of a CEO? And Stephen Bartlett asked him, like, what would you recommend in terms of a job, like with AI? You think jobs are going to be wiped out? Like, what jobs do you think will stay? He said, I think plumber will be one of the ones that stay around for quite some time. So if any job you're going to have, you should be a plumber. And Stephen's like, really? He's like, yes. Because a lot of robots, they cannot do the fiddly stuff that plumbers do, manual labour. He said it's a manual labour job, particularly a plumber. That's what he would be. So you're in a good job, Steve. You've done the right thing. You're future-proofing yourself without even realising, you see? So that's really good. So now you know. Yeah, I can't remember his name. Like, Geoffrey Hinton, that's it. He's like the godfather of AI, or one of the godfathers of AI, who I follow quite a bit and watch him quite a lot. So yeah, he was one of the people who originally invented AI at Google. So yeah. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap up because it's like 2:51, like 251 minutes, I think. I did see the short for that, but not the full video. It's good. You're in a good job. I just read my books out again. Asexual Perspectives, Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, and Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual. And before I go, I just want to sum up what I've talked about in dating relationships, because I should sum that up before I go. So some of the problems in dating relationships, well, with the 21st century, most people are on dating apps these days, but I do agree with Steve, it's good to meet people in real life still. So I think it's good to use approach where you have experience on dating apps and on websites, and you go out and meet people in real life. Like, I'm going to meetups via meetup.com for like shared interests. There is one group I go to though that you're not allowed to date or have a relationship through that group. Steve says it's been good to meet you, Sandra. Been very interesting. Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. And so, there's different things for asexuals. Obviously, it's hard because for some of us, we're not interested in sex whatsoever. But different asexuals in the asexual spectrum can think differently about sex. But things that affect dating and relationships in general for anyone are financial, religious stuff, different values, different ethics, different morals, different beliefs. For asexuals, a lot of the time we love through a deep emotional connection, and we get a lot of intimacy through having shared hobbies, shared interests, things that we want to do together like that. It kind of passion projects. It kind of really makes us feel like intimate with the person. We usually experience love for a deep emotional connection more than physicality. I think that's a very big distinction for asexuals. Asexuals, we're kind of really spread around the globe. We have different physical needs, different hobbies and interests that make it quite hard. And also asexuals can become very jaded when they try to date and have relationships with sexuals in their area, because they might not be able to find an asexual person in their area. And then they realize that, oh no, like they get rejected a lot, realize how much people need and want sex, and then they feel like there's no one for them. So that can create a lot of despondency, and then a lot of asexuals stop dating relationships, so they start even looking in the asexual dating scene for other asexuals. And then by the time they all get together, it's like, well, a lot of people have given up. But I would strongly urge that if you give up, you'll never have a relationship. I personally am fine being single. I might be a single on my own for the rest of my life, and I'm okay with that. But I'm still open to the possibility of having a relationship with the right person if I meet the right person for me. So I think it's good to still have some openness, but also be perfectly happy on your own. Steve, I just think that there's far too much fakery online. So that's why I think people should date naturally. Yeah, I mean, on that point, Steve, is I do usually request a video date before I meet up with a guy in person, because then you can usually weed out if someone's like not even read your profile. I've had guys in the past where I've had video dates and they haven't even read my profile, because I'm talking to them and I'm saying, did you read my profile? I say no. But nowadays I just like, did you read my profile before I have a video date? But I haven't had a video date in quite a long time. Remember that you can meet someone in the supermarket or anywhere outside. I know. I totally agree with that. I do talk to guys in the supermarket. I do talk to people in different places. So I always remember stuff like that. But yeah, for our viewers, the rest of the viewers, yeah, you can meet someone in the supermarket. You can meet someone going to a restaurant. You can meet someone going to a cafe. I go to loads of places on my own. Like, I met a guy at a zoo once, London Zoo, but we went around together, the zoo. I didn't even know him. We went around together, but we ended up talking about relationship stuff, and he was like, he wanted something completely different to me. But he said the best thing about being at the zoo was spending time with me. And then he connected with me on Facebook and never spoke to me again in his entire life. Do you know what I mean? So it can be just as bad, like actually meeting someone in person. Because it's like you spend time with them and they just don't bother speaking to you anymore. So it can happen that they kind of ghost you, even if they're still connected to you on Facebook, they just ghost you because they don't really talk to you ever again. So you can still get that problem with in-person connections as well. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not sure which hurts more, being rejected in person or being rejected online. But I just think, well, it's his loss. I understand he doesn't want the same thing as me, and he's expressed that, so it's okay. I get it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I know that I purposely, because in Love Life Club, they're always telling you to get out of your comfort zone, go to do different things, go to different places. So, I mean, I go to different meetups now than I used to, but I only go to meetups where I feel comfortable. So I'm going to 2 today, actually, later today now. Writing one, it's a social for writers. And then later in the same venue, it's an actual social group. They no dating in that one. You're not allowed to date. It's against their rules or have a relationship or do anything like that. It's only for friendship. And I was told off once because I connected with a guy outside it, and they saw me exchange numbers, and you're not allowed to do that. If you want to do it outside, fine, but you're not allowed to do it in here. It's against our rules. So I've never known a group to do that. But anyway, that particular meetup, I ended up getting a stalker, and it was horrible. So I left for a while, but I've been told the stalker's gone now. It's not there. And as this meetup is in exactly the same venue as the first meetup I'm going to, the writing one, but it's just downstairs, I'm going to try it again because he's supposed to have left, the guy. But if he's there again, I should just leave, because I mean, he's really bad. He was waiting outside for me. I told the organizer and they didn't do anything. So that's why I didn't want to go, because the organizer I've talked to him numerous times, but he didn't do anything about it. So that's why I stopped going. And then I started going to another meetup, and I go to a tech meetup as well. So, you know, I'm open to the thing and places, but obviously a lot of people are heterosexual. I'm a sex repulsed asexual, so I know that does limit me. Plus, I tend to be attracted to younger guys more than I'm not really attracted to guys my birth certificate age. Plus, I'm into younger foreign guys, and I like living in the UK, particularly Indian. I'm very different culture to the Indian guys. So good luck with it. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. So yeah, so with asexuals, we've all got our nuances as well. You know, we're kind of very, very nuanced as a community. So that makes it more harder to date and have a relationship with people as well. Because we've all got very specific niche needs. You would have thought in the asexual community there was a lot more people that were like each other, but actually we're so very different. Some of us can be completely different. The only thing that we have in common is literally the lack of sexual attraction and being on the asexual spectrum somewhere. Some people, because I used to run asexual meetups for 5 years in the UK, have people coming to my meetups from all over to my city in Exeter. But you know, some of us had absolutely hardly anything in common. The only thing we got in common is the fact we're both asexual. So that can make life very difficult to find for a relationship, you know, find someone for a relationship, I mean. But yeah, everyone has different things. Oh, also, I think it's important to say that people have different attachment styles and different personalities as well. And I think it's important to get someone whose personality either matches your own or complements it, and who has the same sort of communication style or attachment style or a compatible attachment style. For example, a avoidant attachment and an anxious attachment are usually the worst combination, and they're ones that are most likely to be very attracted to each other as well. So it's a very disaster a lot of the time, because anxiously attached people, they want like reassurance, they want things sorted out there and then. They want, you know, like attention, affection, and to deal with and tackle relationship problems and dating problems head on. Whereas an avoidant will avoid difficult conversations. They'll shut down when they don't like something in the relationship. They will avoid having difficult conversation. They'll avoid like conflict. They'll be very avoidant, and if they want to do something, they'll kind of put their own needs first and maybe avoid the other person. So it's difficult because you've got to manage your own needs as well in a relationship, as well as being there for other people. So, wow, you live in Devon. That's a great place, says Steve. Yeah, I live in Exeter in Devon. I love Exeter as a city. I live in my very favourite city, but I'm a non-mover, which makes it harder because I won't move for a relationship. I love living in Exeter specifically. It's my favourite city in the whole of the world to live in. And then my second favourite city is London. So I do visit London sometimes, but I don't know that I would actually like to live there. But it's my second favourite place. So it's like a home from home. So I feel very comfortable to visit there. But I'm going to Love Life Live as well in August. You're not far from Exmouth. That's a lovely place. Yeah, I am near Exmouth, although I'm a city girl, so I like entertainment, doing city stuff. I'm not really a countryside person or beach person. I actually lived near Dawlish Warren for years of my life. I grew up in the countryside and lived near a beach. But I actually don't like that very much because it bored me. I know that sounds really bad because loads of people like nature and beaches and stuff, but it just bores me. I like going out, eating food, watching movies, clubbing, although I hardly ever go out clubbing. I haven't been out clubbing for a long time, and doing stuff. Even when I'm away, I have to be doing stuff. Like when I'm in London, I go to Shrek Adventure. I've still got loads of footage to post from London from my birthday in April last month. I haven't even posted that. Spent 3 days in London for my birthday, 2 nights, 3 days, and my birthday is the 24th of April. But I took loads of video footage on my phone, but I haven't even had a chance to upload it all yet in like short vlog videos. So I've got loads to come with that. But yeah, so I grew up in Easton, a little place near Cockwood, in between Cockwood and Dawlish Warren. But I just felt so isolated there and lonely there as an only child. It was, do you know what I mean? It was very isolating. I just didn't like it. I don't like really the countryside in general. I'm okay with a little bit of countryside. Like in Exeter, I'm blessed because there's a bit of countryside in the city, which is good for me. So like the quayside, I like to visit for a short period of time, but I usually like to be around people, you know, nearer the pubs. So I'll go on the beach and sit there sometimes. I live not far from the Cathedral Green. It's not that far to walk to there. And so I actually live really close to my 2 favourite cinemas, which is incredible because I go to the cinema on self dates every week. So yeah, but I actually lived in Exmouth for a time. My dad used to work for a company called Leisure and Pleasure, And he used to work doing maintenance on the camp, the actual Sandy Bay holiday park. And he used to maintain the fairground rides, and I used to get free fairground rides at that point. That's probably why I love theme parks now. Even now to this day, I love theme parks. I used to get free goes on the waltzer and play things like that. I lived in a caravan with my parents on site for 6 months, I think it was. There used to be 2 donkeys that came there. I think I used to give them sugar lumps. Oh my God, I was like really young then. So under 6 years old at the time, I think. But yeah, so I just really remember, like, I don't actually know how old I was, because if I was there for 6 months, it's like, how did I go to school? So it might have been when I was much younger than that. I don't know. But yeah, so my dad used to do maintenance of caravans as well, I think. So yeah, I lived for a time there. Or so I'm told. I don't remember actually living there very much. I just remember the donkeys and the fairground rides. And my dad worked for the company there. So yeah, it was, unless it was, yeah, I was going to say, how could I live there for 6 months if I had school? It doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, so I really, yeah, I love fairground rides, to be honest, even to this day. But yeah, I feel blessed that I live in Exeter, because it's my favourite city. It's very cultural, Exeter, very opening, very open-minded, very inclusive of LGBT plus people. So I was asked to do a workshop for asexuals for Exeter Pride, which I did. So it was an asexual confidence and self-love workshop. That sounds like an amazing childhood. Well, it was nice when I got to go on the rides at Exmouth and feed the donkeys. That was a good part of my childhood. But I didn't like living out in the countryside. I felt very isolated, very lonely, and very cut off, and very depressed. I had quite a depressive childhood because I felt alone all the time. Didn't have many friends. So when I lived out in the country, I didn't really like it very much. It was boring and lonely for me and isolating. So that's why not really into nature and countryside now and stuff. And the beach, like, it was just a bit boring for me. I like entertainment, really. But I did like, oh, you subscribed to me. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that a lot. And yeah, so, oh, and thanks for the thumbs up for anyone who gave me a thumbs up. I appreciate that as well. And so, yeah, so for me, like, the fairground rides were good. The, like, waltzes, those were brilliant. I loved that part of my childhood. That I got to go on the rides for free. That was really, really good. And I liked the donkeys as well. They were really nice. I do remember I played with a boy. There was a boy, but he was very naughty. So I do actually remember that. I remember playing out in the garden with him outside. So I do remember that part. And I remember I love the donkeys. I used to do some voluntary work for the I voluntary sponsorship stuff for the Donkey Sanctuary years ago. Like I raised some money for them years ago, the Donkey Sanctuary. So I have one of the books as well. So yeah, I like the Donkey Sanctuary in Sidmouth. That's nice because I like animals. So yeah, but it was good. The fairground rides were really good. I like Breen theme park in the UK as well, but I haven't been there for some time because I haven't been able to go to theme parks until this year. I just went to Chessington, which is the first time I've been to a theme park in nearly 2 years. Because of my 3 broken bones in my spine, I couldn't go, but I was signed off by the doctor at the hospital, specialist consultant, so I could go on theme park rides again, which I was worried about going on, but I did go on them and I was fine with my spine. It's just I did actually have an accident on one of the rides, which wasn't my fault. It was a kid's ride as well. A guy made me get off the ride, go and get my bags, which was a mini log flume. And as I got back on it, because it was still bobbing around in the water and it was about to go, I tripped over the side of the platform and the boat and went right across it, injuring my leg and hand. So it was really bad. Steve, I got 2 parking tickets in 2 weeks in Breen. Oh my God. I don't drive. So if I go to Breen theme park, I have to catch a train and then a bus. That's terrible. 2 parking tickets in 2 weeks. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I haven't been there. So I haven't, the first theme park I've been on since the 28th of April 2024, which is when I broke 3 bones in my spine. Haven't been able to go on theme park rides till the 24th of April 2026. Nearly 2 years. Yeah, so I was literally hanging upside down on roller coasters only 2 days before I broke 3 bones in my spine at Chessington. So it's weird to be able to go back there this year, and I was so proud that I could do that. But that's only because I've been doing spinal rehabilitation. I did over a year with a physiotherapist at the doctor's surgery, and I've continued the exercises she gave me as much as possible. I can't do them all the time because of my fibro. Your wife doesn't drive either. Yeah, I didn't get on with driving. I took 96 lessons years ago as a teenager, and I got told that I have a problem with my concentration, so I should come back later, and I never went back. 96 lessons. It took me 32 to get clutch control. I couldn't control the clutch for 32 lessons. And, so yeah, so some people ask, like, oh, do you need to be with a driver in a relationship? It's like, no, I don't need to be with a driver in the relationship. But obviously, if I did have a guy who drove a car, it would be better for me, because I have to go use my disabled pass to go on the bus to go shopping, unless I get a shopping from, like, delivered to me. But I can't get everything I want on delivery. I have to get soy milk specifically from Aldi. I can't get soy milks from other places usually that suits me, like a reasonable price. So I have to get the ones at Aldi. And I have to use a disabled bus pass to get there. So, but I mean, luckily the bus stop's just around the corner from where I live. But I take my shopping trolley rather than lifts and stuff, but it's still a pain. So it would be better for my fibro if I could find a guy who drove, but that's not a necessity. My last long-term ex, he didn't drive. My short-term ex, he didn't drive. Most of the people I end up being with just don't drive. But my neighbour, he was downstairs. He actually took me shopping number of weeks ago now. It was actually after I came back from my birthday trip to London. He took me shopping just once. He lives in a block of flats. He lives in the same block of flats as me, but downstairs, so that was nice of him. But I think that was just a one-off. So yeah. So again, like, it depends. Like in terms of relationship compatibility, it depends what people are looking for, doesn't it? I have to have someone who's very good with my disabilities, because if I don't, it won't work. Because some people, like, can start saying, "Oh, you're just lazy," or "It's all in your mind," and stuff like that. I'm like, no, it's very much not in my mind, and I'm not a lazy person. I actually take a lot longer to do something that take someone short amount of time. Because I did some cleaning once in my bathroom, because I had a flat inspection. It was like 2 hours, and I'm like, anyone else would take I don't know, 20 minutes or half an hour. And there was a cleaner that came on. She goes, yeah, I would have took 30 minutes to do what it took you 2 hours or more to do. And you know what I mean? It was and it was really difficult for me because it just takes me so long. And so sometimes I'm just too exhausted. I can't be doing all the work. So I just instead spend time at my desk. I'm at my desk here. I should flip you around, shouldn't I, and just show you my look. This is it's a bit messy up here, by the way. Water bottles and stuff, books on the table. This is my desk that's in front of me and my computer. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, that's a problem with society. People thinking people that don't work are lazy. Yeah, I've had people even comment on this channel, just get a job. I'm like, really? I can't anymore work for an employer. And most employers wouldn't want to employ me because, do you know what I mean? They just don't want someone who's as physically disabled as I am. That takes time. Even when I was working, it's I needed extra time off the shop floor. I had to sit down. I had to have a stool because I couldn't stand up all the time. I had to have regular breaks, more than there was actually allowed. I had to have that all agreed with people, you know what I mean? And yeah, so it was really difficult. So yeah, and it was hard. But what take people 10 minutes to clean, it would take me 2 hours just to clean a little bit, because my legs are the worst affected area with going up and down and stuff like that. I recently got a rower for my birthday, but I've barely used it. And last week when I tried to use it, I really ended up injuring myself, actually, with my arms. But cycling, I don't do any cycling because cycling's really bad. At least the row machine's just like that. But I haven't used it that much because, it hurts a lot of the time. So I can't. I didn't even know if it was a good idea to get it or not, to be honest. But I felt like I should get something. But yeah, that's because it's YouTube and you will always get trolls. Yeah, it's sad. But yeah, there are people that come on, they go, just get a job. It's well, I do actually have a job. I am technically really self-employed. I have to report my income expenses reports to Universal Credit every month. I have to do accounting every year for HMRC. I do actually have a job, which is predominantly an author. It's just that I don't get many books out very often because it takes me ages to write. Most of my books take me a year or more to write, the majority of them. And then, and then it's the editing process and everything. The editing I'm really slow at because of my cognitive processing. So it actually becomes more like a chore, the editing, but the writing I love. But you know what I mean? I do tend to try and edit some of it as I go along more these days. But even then, sometimes you have to move things around because they look better in different areas. But yeah, so like when someone goes get a job, it's like, well, I'm a self-employed author. It is still work. It's still a job. It's not like I'm doing nothing with my life. Do you know what I mean? I'm uploading a lot of videos to this channel as well every day. And most people wouldn't even be able to do that. Like short videos, in general, I tend to upload, like I used to upload like between 3 to 5 a day in the past. Like nowadays, I tend to go for 8 to 12 a day, in a good day, like 8 to 12. But sometimes I do more than that. Like yesterday, I did more than that, I think, within a 24-hour period. So yeah, it depends. But some of them are obviously videos that are still in my phone from a while ago. I got all my birthday stuff to put out. So I record it on my phone. Sometimes I do it in real time, like I record it and straight away upload it. But when I was in London, I didn't have Wi-Fi a lot of the time, so I had to record it on my phone. And I have to post it afterwards. But I've been so busy. When I say busy, it's like busy recovering from illness and also like, like doing vlogs and stuff and trying to do things in my life. You know what I mean? Because for me, like it's just like even when I did exercise the other day, it's like that was it for the majority of the day. Like what I've done, like I think I spent over 12 hours sleeping yesterday after I actually went to sleep. Then I did some exercise and did some shopping, and then I ate some food and started watching a bit of a movie, and then I decided to just live stream, and that's been my day, my whole day. But do you know what I mean? Because I slept for longer than I thought. But don't forget, before I went to sleep, I didn't go to sleep till the early hours of the morning, and I injured this finger, which I did manage to get better. Like, it's fine now, this one. There's the one I smacked on the cupboard by accident. I had to sleep with an ice pack on it after putting Germany and cold water on it. It actually worked. Because I literally had my finger, I had it wrapped around my finger, and that worked. So, yeah, so I tend, it takes me all my time, energy, and effort to look after myself. Like I couldn't be looking after someone else physically in a relationship. So when I'm talking about relationship dating, I'm like, I'm good with emotional stuff. I'm good with, talking and empathy and like some intelligent stuff and that. But if a person wants me to do a lot of physical stuff for them, I just can't do it. So I wouldn't be the right type of person. Like if a guy wants a housewife and to cook and clean for him, I would not be that guy's person. Do you know what I mean? Steve, I couldn't sleep for 12 hours. I get by with about 5. Well, I've had less in the past. Like 12 hours is excessive for me. But then I was injured with this finger. I was feeling angry, and I've been exhausted more because I injured my arm and stuff, like because I've got a lot of extra pain at the moment, because it's like if I go to physio, like when I was having physio, and I'm still on the waiting list to see the physio at the hospital as well, it's like they encourage you to do exercise, and they're like, oh, exercise is good for fibro. I'm like, well, it makes my pain worse and it makes me more tired. And they're like, but it's good for you, do it. So if I can, I try and do some, but it's not sustainable. Like I can't have a set routine with it. Do you know what I mean? I just can't do that. So yeah, so a couple of times lately I've slept for over 12 hours, but that's because I'm physically exhausted because of my pain condition. But usually I like to go to bed at 4 a.m. and then get up at midday, ideally, which is still 8 hours sleep. It's just at a different time. But sometimes I go to bed later, like 7 a.m. and wake up at 3 or something. It depends. But if I've got to get up, like every Sunday, I self-date at the cinema and I have to get up earlier for then. So sometimes I only get 4 hours of sleep that day. But yeah, so I can live on less sleep. I have lived on less sleep, but because when I go away, I barely get any sleep. I'm constantly doing stuff and barely get any sleep. But then I come back and get really tired and sleep, and then I'm okay again. I understand you get more tired because of the fibromyalgia. It's because I've done more exercise as well. I've been trying to improve my fitness, but it's like I'm laughing because it's like you can't really totally improve your fitness with fibromyalgia, but I've been trying to keep myself a bit stronger because I have osteopenia as well. I think I mentioned that earlier, and which isn't good, obviously. So I've been trying to do some more exercise, and the spine injury, I've been trying to keep my spine strong, but I over exercised and I got so much pain that I was just like, where are this bruises as well? And I just was so in agony for days. I was having ice packs more than usual throughout the day. I have them at night. Usually I sleep with an ice pack between my legs because I get so overheated as well. Like just for my skin, I start itching. It's really weird. But having ice packs as well at night, sleeping with ice packs reduces my inflammation because I can't take meds for fibromyalgia. Well, I don't take meds for fibromyalgia, and I can't really take many meds nowadays anyway because I'm allergic to most meds. So I don't take any medication for fibromyalgia, but I have ice packs that reduce inflammation. But I have to put a lot of, I've got 4 ice packs in total in my freezer, and I have to rotate them. And so at night, I usually sleep with an ice pack between my legs. But I've had extra on my shoulder blade and my arm while I really overdid it. Do you know what I mean? So in the last 24 hours, I've been able to do some exercise. But before then, I hadn't done any exercise since Friday last week. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I spent 5 days getting myself to the point where I can do some exercise more again. Although I did do some gentle stretches 2 days before for my arms. Because I can't just go straight into doing more exercise without doing some gentle exercise. But I do some on my bed. Your wife takes a crazy amount of medication. Yeah, I don't have any medicine for fibro, which is very rare. I try and block out the pain with the power of my mind, which is really hard to do. So when I bring it to conscious thought, like when I'm doing my PIP review, oh my God, I'm in agony because I'm thinking about my pain a lot more. Whenever I think about my pain, it's horrendous. So I try and block out the pain quite a lot, but it's hard to be able to do that. But because I have my spinal injury on top, that was 10 times more pain than fibromyalgia on top of fibromyalgia, because fibromyalgia tends to give you 10 times more body pain than an average person. So when I saw a specialist at the doctor's surgery, they'd done a course in fibromyalgia. They were doctor. That was the one who said it's good that you can still work, because at that point I could, because loads of people can't with it. But they said, your pain sensitivity is 10 times more than an average person, because I went to them with a problem. I think it was a neck crick. I'd hurt my neck. And they said, well, they said you experience 10 times more pain than the average person does because of your fibromyalgia. But when I had a spinal injury, my God, it's the worst pain ever. Because it was like someone stabbing me for nearly 2 years. Constantly stab like this on top of the fibromyalgia pain. Worst pain ever in my entire life. It's awful. It's even more debilitating. So I've had to do over a year of physio with a doctor's surgery, and you know what I mean. But what happens is I do the exercise, and then it creates more pain in with my fibromyalgia. My fibromyalgia flares up, then I can't do any exercise, and then it creates a cycle like that. So I can't consistently do it reliably and safely, because it just doesn't work like that for me. It's I'll do something that's I gotta go back to square one and start all over again after I've healed my body. To a certain extent, you can't ever heal from fibromyalgia, but until I got all my inflammation down as much as possible, and then I'll try and do some because they say it's good for me to do some, and then I'll try it again, and then it'll just go to pot again, and it's a constant cycle of trying it and going down again, feeling good, and then going down again. It's just it's not very good, because you kind of end up, well, I end up self-criticizing sometimes, you know what I mean? It's why can't I just get into routine? But you can't get into routine with fibromyalgia. There is no routine with fibromyalgia. It's AI is oh, do you want me to create a routine with, exercise? I'm I can't do a routine. It's fibromyalgia. I have to go to how I feel at the day. If I feel in a fibro flow, if I feel too much pain, I can't do anything. I just sit and watch movies to relax my mind and de-stress, which helps to reduce my pain. Sunshine seems to help your wife. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't get out in the sun very often. I don't even get out very often. Do you know what I mean? Most of the time I'm indoors, and I got a blind up. So most of my time I live in darkness. Plus I sleep in the day a lot and wake up at night. So I'm kind of back to front. But movies help me. I go to the cinema once a week, and that's actually my physio told me to do that. Because she says when you're anxious, because my anxiety feeds into my fibromyalgia pain, she goes, go and watch a movie, because that actually lowers your anxiety, which lowers your fibromyalgia pain, which makes it easier for you to do exercise than without it. Because she says I breath hold as well. The physio doctor's saying you breath hold when you do exercise, you breath hold. And like, how can I be alive then? She goes, I don't know. I'm like, great. That's not the answer I was expecting. She's like, I said, I didn't even realize that I was like, people were consciously aware. Other people knew that I did that. It's kind of like something I do subconsciously, because because of my anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder. I've got a very high level of it. It's like she says you breath hold, you like hold your breath, and you can talk while you're holding your breath and do exercise, but obviously you're not doing it all properly because you're not breathing properly because you're holding your breath. So she said to go out to cinema, because it really does relax me. She said, go to the cinema. I want you to go as part of your pain plan to go to the cinema to reduce the pain, because if I go to the cinema, it kind of takes me out of my head of pain. Like I said, if I try to block the pain out using the power of my mind, but when I'm distracted and watching movies, kind of like my head's taken out. Sometimes though, my head goes to thinking about loads of other things that I've got to do in my day and what I've got to do next. And I haven't had much sleep. Sometimes I've only had 2 hours sleep before the cinema and what I've got to do and blah, blah, blah. But because anxiety overthinks even in the cinema, but in general, it does calm it down. So I've been watching a lot of movies at home, like dance movies and stuff like that. And over the last number of days, more than ever, because I needed to reduce my pain, because otherwise I overthink, I get stressed, it causes high cortisol levels, which does affect pain. With my fibromyalgia, makes it worse. So if I can lower my cortisol levels, lower my stress, my body is not so clenched, and so it relaxes more, so it eases some of my fibro pain. Because that's what when the physio was doing physio exercises with my spine, she's like, talk to me while you're doing the physio exercises, because you can do more exercise when you're talking than when you're not talking. When you're talking, you ease up, but when you're not talking, you're just in more pain. You can go to the cinema for £3 at weekends with 3 Mobile. Oh, I go to the cinema at weekends. So I go to the cinema with Kids Club lots of the time at weekends. So I usually self-date on a Sunday. So if you look at my channel now, you're subscribed, you'll probably get, if you've hit the notifications button, you'll get notified of when on Sunday I'm talking about I'm going on my self-date, getting ready. So I go to the cinema. And I can go to Kids Club. So Odeon does Kids Club for £1. You don't have to have a kid. I don't have any kids. So you can pay kids prices even if you're adult if you go to Kids Club, or Mighty Mornings they're called now. So it's £1 because I like watching animation, a lot of them are animation. So it's £1 for Kids Club Mighty Mornings now at Odeon, and £2.49 usually at View. So a lot of the time I do that, but I'm an Odeon Extras Plus member. So my tickets, even at full price, are usually £5 and 5p. So yeah, I'm not with 3 Mobile. I'm with T-Mobile, which is now EE. I've got to have the same contract. Unfortunately, I pay through the roof for my contract. You can't get it again. And I have special 08 numbers for my websites, including Asexual websites, if I want to get hold of my web host. But you can't ever get that again. They're premium numbers. They usually cost a lot more, but each year my rate keeps going way up. So I pay over £45 for my phone bill on my mobile. It's ridiculous. I only have 2 gigabytes of allowance on the internet every single month, but I have like 08 numbers, 0845, 0871, and lots of other numbers. So not the 0800 free numbers that every landline has. These are like a lot. They're like 8 special numbers. And so I bought that to have my website, but they can't get them again. They're like, if you try and get this deal again, you can't. You'd have to pay like double the price for it at least. So I have to keep the same thing, but it's really astronomical price, because you can get like mobile deals now that are so much cheaper than that for much more data. But it's the 08 numbers. They're like, if I had to like pay for them, they're 50p a minute. But I have them for like, they used to be like £6 in total, but I pay about £9. I think they've just gone up to in total, something like that. But if I was, if I would, that's for like 300 minutes and 200 minutes, 500 minutes for like £9, whereas it's usually 50p a minute. So yeah, but yeah, that is a bargain. So you still have a landline. I have to have my landline for my internet, so I have to pay for landline as well on top of my mobile. I do get a discount for landline for being disabled, but I still have to pay that because my internet goes through my landline. Yeah, so my Wi-Fi is used all over with my mobile is from my phone in my home. Like now, I have to have a high plan as well for internet on my because I have to have fiber optic broadband and upload and download speeds for my phone. So it actually costs me a lot to do asexual stuff. So my phone bill's over £30 as well, my landline. So I'm paying a lot of money. But with my landline, because there's no actually official landline anymore, it's all based, the landline phone is not a landline anymore because they've just done away with landlines. But I have a landline phone that's connected via the internet line. So the landline doesn't plug directly into a phone line anymore. It's actually come off the internet. So if the internet goes down, all my phones go down as well. Like my landline phone goes down. But I have a landline because as well, my mobile signal in this flat is really bad because I live in a steel building now. So if I make a phone call, I usually have to have my landline. So if I was making a call from my mobile, I have to go near the window to be able to make it, which is another pain in the backside. And I have to obviously, usually a lot of the time, put my laptop in the windowsill to be able to talk to someone on my mobile, because once I start coming further in here, it distorts all the call. You can't hear me properly. They're getting rid of landlines to make everything digital. Yeah, so the landlines have got... So I still have a landline, but it's not coming from the landline anymore, if you know what I mean. So basically, it's still a landline phone, but it's plugged into the modem, not into the phone socket, because they've done away with them. So it's a BT one, and it's people don't really call them landlines anymore, but it is landline in the sense that it's it's plugged in. Let me show you what I mean. So it's plugged into this modem here. So the phone lines go into here, into this modem. This is my self-love cushion. So all the phones, they have to come off the main. I've got 4 phones because I've got phones in every room. Well, not the bathroom, because I've got my disabilities and I nearly got locked in one of my rooms because the door latch went. But anyway, so this is my main phone. This gets plugged into my modem, and the other 3 work off it by just plugging into the mains and the Wi-Fi, but it's in the back here. So this is like the new landline, if you like. This doesn't plug into the line anymore. It plugs into the modem. So if the internet goes down, which sometimes it does, my phones go off. That's VoIP, which is voice over internet protocol. Very good. So yeah, so basically that's what happens, which sucks. Do you know what I mean? It sucks that I have no landline if the internet goes off, and a few times it goes off sometimes as well. But yeah, I still pay over £30 for my landline. I think it's something like £34, is it now? Something like that. So I pay a lot of money for my phone bills, but it's like because of my business, like I have like numerous websites, including for asexuals, and obviously I have to have that for the internet, and I have to use internet for doing these live streams and vlogs. So my phone is powered off that. It's not coming. This is my mobile data switched off at the moment. Don't have much data outside, so I have to take it off my phone. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, I'm going to love you and I'll leave you all now. I think Steve's the only one left here actually at the moment. Thank you for being here, and thanks to everyone who's been great in chat today as well. I particularly appreciate you, Steve, still being here at the end. Yeah, I think you made a note of my fibromyalgia book, didn't you? Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, you said. So yeah, I hope everyone else has appreciated this. I know there'll be people watching replay of this, so thank you if you're on the replay, because once this is finished, it'll be on the replay, it'll be on my channel. And I appreciate you being here. Lots of love. Take care. And thanks, Steve, for subscribing. Thanks for the thumbs up, everyone. Thanks for everyone else who's subscribed. If you've not already subscribed, please do so. I'll see you soon on the next video or live stream or vlog. Definitely see you again sometime. Thank you, Steve, and I hope your wife is as good as possibly can be, and give my best to her. I was going to say give her best to her, or give her best to me. I meant give my best to her. I hope she has some things that can decrease her pain, and yeah, lots of love to her as well, so I know how she feels. Anyway, take care, and it's great to see you, and stay ace. Ace is slang or short nickname for asexual, but it's also stay ace means stay wonderful in your life, so it's got double meaning really. So anyway, take care and see you soon, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the thumbs up if you haven't already done so, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss an episode. Bye, Steve. Bye, everyone. Take care. Bye.